So how do you think they are feeling in Gobbler's Knob this morning after the Groundhog Day celebration has come to a
Conclusion.
conclusion?
Do you
Do
think
you think
there's a
there's a
slight
slight
hangover
hangover
this
this
morning
morning
up
up
there?
there?
People
People
are
are
people are
people are
still
still
just
just
passed
passed.
out in the field celebrating 6 more weeks of winter. Is that how it works, you think, up there in Pennsylvania?
I think all, 7,000 of them took off work today?
Because I gotta admit, like, after this show, I totally forgot it was Groundhog Day. Like, I feel like we
Mhm.
celebrated with the best of them on the early game, but basically the second that we walked out of the studio, my mind went completely elsewhere on Groundhog Day. I never once mentioned again that it was Groundhog Day. I think a couple times actually I may have been asked if we knew what the groundhog, did, but other than that, I gotta admit there was more attention paid to it on this show by me, maybe, and Jen. Patrick was in his own world with the
Yeah.
Commanders. Um, but after 9 a.m., I completely was out in I was on to today. I was on to February 3rd, whereas I feel like the people in Gobbler's Knob were toasting it up. Mimosas early, maybe? Is that weather up there is not mimosa weather, is it?
I mean, there's no hot I
Mm-mm.
guess you can only drink so many, Baileys and coffees,
It's true.
so many
Well,
Irish coffees.
yeah. Otherwise, you're just like really wired
Wired,
the
yeah.
rest of the
There's really
day.
yeah, I think it is mimosas. You
Yeah,
just
okay.
can yeah. You have to. There's not that many hot drinks, really.
Well, good news. We did not take the day off. We did not celebrate Groundhog Day to the extent that we needed to take a Thursday morning off. So we're back at it, up and going with you. Hope you're doing all right this morning. Kind of a drizzly, foggy type morning. Not as cold as it had been the last few days, but we'll get you through plenty to certainly get into and talk about this morning. Kind of the fallout from yesterday as South Carolina. Shane Beamer holding a 2 p.m. press conference to talk about the recruiting class that now was, as South Carolina's 2022 recruiting class is basically in the books. There's 2 more spots left if they want to use it for a transfer portal player, but we'll kind of get back into the recruiting class and Patrick, go back and revisit a little bit the December recruiting class and just some of the guys coming in. Obviously, the big news yesterday, the departures of Connor Shaw and Eric Kimmery from the South Carolina football staff. And I'll give my take on that. There's a lot of, I think, speculation and a lot of opinions, and Shane Beamer did address that yesterday in his press conference as to, uh, uh, as to the decisions they made. Connor Shaw put out, I guess, a video last night and some comments from him. And then we'll hear from Eric Kimmery, I guess, at some point on his next business venture or coaching venture. We'll get into that. I there are 2 sides to that, Patrick, and we'll go down that path and talk about both sides of that
Yeah.
this morning. So you had that, and then to me, kind of the big news yesterday or late last night. I say late. I had Austin soccer practice till 8:30, so I didn't hear about it until 8:45. For all I know, it happened at 7 o'clock. Was Jim Harbaugh staying in Michigan? Because I was really prepared for complete chaos for Harbaugh time in Minnesota, for the Vikings to become instant Super Bowl contenders, for Kirk Cousins to be challenging for an MVP. Maybe I was being a little overly optimistic, and I'm not even a Vikings fan, but I was kind of prepared for chaos with the University of Michigan and trying to find a new football coach and the ripples that it could have across college football. If he went and got, say, if Michigan went and got a Matt Campbell from Iowa State, maybe what direction Iowa State would go, and just maybe some of the small things that it would do across college football. But turns out after all of that, after multiple interviews, Jim Harbaugh calls Michigan, or I guess walks into the president's or the athletic director's office, whatever it may be, and
Yeah,
says,
the athletic director of the Minnesota Vikings.
yeah, walks in and says, "Hey, I'm gonna stay. I'm not going anywhere. This is home." So, what was the overriding storyline for you yesterday after we left? And was it the Commanders all day? Did you follow that along all
Yeah,
day?
I'm
And
still on the Commanders.
are you?
Yeah.
What sweatshirt do we got on this
This is
morning?
just my old Redskins
You're
sweatshirt,
you're
yeah.
sticking with the
And I was
Redskins stuff.
actually I still have a NFL shop pulled up, and I just think it's so dumb that you can go to the throwback section and you can buy a John Riggins Commanders jersey.
Are you serious? Did it really
Yeah.
say John Riggins Commanders?
Like, and you can buy a Chris Cooley Commanders jersey. Like, I never played for that team.
It's true. I didn't realize that.
This whole thing's dumb, and they messed up the patch. They put out 3 new logos, a gold W, literally just the words Washington Commanders with a line between them, and then a patch that is like I think it's supposed to be reminiscent of like soccer patches, but it's like all the years they won championships, and they did it wrong. So the Redskins won their Super Bowls, the 1982 Redskins, the 1987, and the 1991. But because the Super Bowls were played in the year obviously following in January or February, they put the following year. So it's like calling this Georgia national champions the 2022 Georgia Bulldogs. The 2022 Georgia Bulldogs have not played a game yet. It was the 2021 Georgia Bulldogs that won the national championship. So the permanent patch has the wrong years. Like, no one says that it was the 92 Redskins. The 92 Redskins didn't win the Super Bowl. The 91 team did. So they completely botched the patch too. And I found out that they had bought the domain WashingtonCommanders.com the day that they announced that they were changing the name. So the whole 2 years pretending like they were
Just a
listening to the
sham.
fans was completely a joke because nobody wanted it, and I knew no one wanted it, but they just went ahead and did it anyway and then tried to say that it was the fans' decision. And I watched the Today Show broadcast because we just saw it up on the television. We didn't actually get to hear it. It was the worst, most cringeworthy announcement of all time. It was terrible. I sent it to Jen. We'll listen to it. Craig Melvin also had the worst fake laugh of all time. I do want you to listen to it because it was so painful. Just
Well,
a bad day. It was a bad day.
It was interesting. So you had that going on. You had the ending of National Signing Day, in which Texas A&M puts their stamp on college football with the landing of Shamar Stewart. Clemson picked up Caden Story. That was kind of the big story.
They did
No pun
not
intended.
get Harold Perkins.
Where did Harold Perkins go?
LSU. Told
He
you
did
he's
go.
going to LSU.
It wasn't on the little yesterday afternoon. It wasn't on the little line. I actually have been trying to go back to the gym, get in shape a little bit, and the little SEC network was highlighting key additions to classes, and I meant to look that up last night and see. But Texas A&M finishes with one of, if not the top-rated class ever in the history of college football
7
rankings.
5 stars, 19 4 stars. Absolutely ridiculous. It is pretty incredible. I mean, LSU vaulted up to 12th nationally. So you have 3 top 12 teams with new coaches. Notre Dame, I think they were number 3 nationally when Brian Kelly said that he was leaving. They really didn't lose anybody, but I guess other teams just kind of jumped up ahead of them. So Notre Dame finished at 7. Oklahoma still finished with the number 8 national class, despite everything they lost. And then LSU jumped up from 18 to 12 and just on signing day. Somehow Missouri had the 14th ranked class in the country. That's incredible, especially after going there and realizing there's absolutely nothing there.
Yeah, Eli Drinkwitz did a good job. They had some in-state talent that they were able to feast off of.
There's that one 5-star kid, right?
This year. The 2022. I'm looking at the 247 Sports composite team rankings, and by composite that takes into account the own. I don't know actually if it's Rivals or what it is, but I know it's ESPN and the 24/7 Sports rankings as well. Texas A&M, Alabama, and Georgia 1, 2, and 3. Ohio State 4, and Steve Sarkisian with Texas reeling in the 5th ranked class.
Not counting Quinn Ewers too, right?
Yeah, and that's and that's the new part of figuring out recruiting rankings. This is the high school rankings, and those are certainly important. But you look at the lower programs. You look at what Michigan State did last year. We'll go back and look at what Michigan State's recruiting ranking was last year in 2021. But obviously, their team was built around transfers, and so was Arkansas.
46 last year.
46, and then if you see Arkansas, as I scroll down, I'm looking at the 2021. Arkansas was 25th last year, but they built their team around transfers. And so the top tier teams, and this is where I think college football is going to be interesting, will kind of stay the same as it pertains to how recruiting rankings go. They're always going to pull the top rated talent. You see that with the top teams in the country, the brand names in A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, kind of the Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, kind of the 3 best teams in the country. And then you see the brand names in A&M, Texas, and Penn State, Notre Dame, a brand name team, and certainly Oklahoma, all with top 8 classes. Michigan at 9, North Carolina at 10, and then Clemson at 11. You mentioned LSU at 12. Impressive class. We talked yesterday. If Harbaugh had left, Mark Stoops might have been an interesting pickup for Michigan. Kentucky finished with the 13th ranked class and just 20 commitments as well, finishing with just the 13th ranked class. Missouri at 14, Miami and Mario Cristobal at 15, Tennessee at 16, Stanford, Auburn, Florida, and Florida State round out the top 20. Indiana, Michigan State, Mississippi, Arizona, who went 1-11 this year, or did they get to the second win? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
Oregon at 25, and then South Carolina down at 26. But again, you look at what Arkansas and Michigan State did in terms of continuing to turn around those programs. I think for lower level programs, and you throw South Carolina in there, you throw like a Michigan State, in Arizona right now, Mississippi State, Arkansas. Some of it's, and it's not included in the recruiting rankings, is what you do in the recruiting portal, the transfer portal, that matters in terms of instant upgrades.
Ole Miss and South Carolina are probably feeling about the same. They're at 23 and 26 nationally, but they're just fired up because their best two commits were their quarterback and tight end that transferred together from the same school. So all 14 SEC schools are in the top 31. Vanderbilt came in at 31, and that was the lowest ranked SEC school, I believe. So I mean, SEC just continued to dominate, but yeah, there is somewhere a composite of the transfers and high school recruits, right? Someone's doing that now. They have to be, right?
I haven't seen anybody that's doing it just yet, but
I mean, 24/7 does recruiting rankings and they do transfer portal ranking, so you would think that they would be able to combine
the two
just for the sake of
probably at some point you'd be able to see that. I think it's just a matter of time. But yeah, I mean, you again, to go back to your point, I'll give you an example. You go look at Kentucky's class, and they signed just 20 guys, and it's a good class. It features 10 4-stars in that class. Again, I'm using the 24/7 Sports composite rankings is where I'm looking at this. And again, solid class. It's highlighted by Kenyatta Goodwin, a offensive tackle out of Charleston, Indiana. Not Charleston, South Carolina, if you're wondering. It's Charleston, Indiana. 6'8", 340 pounds. He'll now be playing for a new offensive line coach after Eric Wolford recruited him, and then took off to Alabama. Dane Key, another part of that class for Kentucky, a 6'2", 290-pound wide receiver that South Carolina recruited and pursued heavily, and he ended up staying home. His father played at Kentucky. But, yeah, you're right. If you're South Carolina, the headliners of your class are Spencer Rattler and Austin Stogner, and maybe even Christian Beal-Smith because of the production he had at Wake Forest this year. Certainly, there are some nice products, nice players in that recruiting class that features high school players. But I'm with you, Patrick. That's part of now the new era of college football, is looking at the transfer portal and seeing who you added to be a part of your class.
Yeah, not surprising. Southern Cal had the number 1 transfer portal class, and then Ole Miss number 2, LSU number 3. So LSU with the having a huge shining day and coming in at number 12 nationally with the number 3 transfer portal ranking. I think just off the eye test, that's my composite. Or actually, Oklahoma's number 4. I'm saying LSU and Oklahoma are my composite 1 and 2 with transfers and recruits combined.
Well,
strictly off just looking at the two rankings together.
To be honest with you, the class for Texas A&M is so good they may have
probably doesn't matter.
They may have to be number 1 in
Alabama.
Alabama's
If they even
class
have any transfers. I mean, I'm scrolling down a long way and I don't see.
Oh, they got Max Johnson.
That's
Johnson.
That's true.
Yeah, so a lot to get into. We'll get into the discussion again yesterday, wrapping up there for both classes in state for South Carolina and Clemson. Clemson finishing with the number 2 class in the ACC. South Carolina down around 12 in the SEC, but as Patrick just mentioned, 31, all 14 teams in the SEC finishing in the top 31 in the SEC, and South Carolina adding again guys through the transfer portal, which is what they're going to have to do. It's hard for me to envision South Carolina just going out and racking up great recruiting classes. You need to go out and you land a Spencer Rattler, you land a Austin Stogner, who are instant impact kind of players, and obviously we've seen what they do or what they were able to do at a high level at Oklahoma, and now they come to South Carolina. So we'll continue talking about that. Get into
19 top 150 players in Texas A&M's class.
Yeah, Texas A&M, absolutely ridiculous what they actually did this past recruiting season. So it's on to 2023 again, a somewhat uneventful National Signing Day, and we'll get more into that. We'll get back into what is going on with South Carolina over there. I want to kind of break that down because it was interesting. Eric Kimmery, Connor Shaw, 2 former Gamecocks now off to wherever other ventures they're going to go to, and then that leaves a tight end position open. That's kind of the big picture, tight end position. South Carolina will have to hire an own the field person here. moving forward. So if you want to join us this morning, a couple easy ways to be a part of the program, as several of you already are. Again, you can join us via the text line, 803-404-6100. You can also join us via the Love Chevy phone lines, as always, 803-404-6100. And, of course, as is every morning, Patrick Pratt gets it set up and it's ready to go, the Buford Lending live stream. Craig, Trey, happy birthday to Trey Mosley out there this morning.
Happy birthday
to you, buddy. Clarence, Robin, Jerry, RL, all up, and Adam on a Thursday morning. I see Anthony in D.C. as well. So if you want to go and be a part of that Buford Lending live stream, the little community we have right there where a lot of different discussions about a lot of different things, Patrick. That's your own little chat room that you can go and partake in, and we join in during the commercial segments. So we will sometimes partake. Sometimes you see us wandering around the studio, but you can go to youtube.com, search 1075 The Game, and click and subscribe to our YouTube page and watch each and every morning on the Buford Lending live stream. So a lot of ways to join us this morning. Again, one of those ways is via the Love Chevy phone line, 803-404-6100. And out to the Love Chevy phone lines we go. Gamecock Larry wants to weigh in this morning. Maybe we're calling him Bingle Larry for the next 2 weeks, although that might not be good for Cincinnati, but we'll go with that. Good morning, Larry. How are you?
Good morning. Bengals by 4. But let me say a little bit about these stars. It don't make no difference if you got 10 stars or no stars. It is what you do on the field or the court. And I'm going to tell you something. We got the coaching staff. We're going to get another coach. Oh, yeah, I could say something about my buddy. Eric Kimmery, the fade. Hammond High School, and then he was going to go there and be the Gamecock. But he's going to go back to high school where he lives, where he lives, and he's going to get a great job. I guess it's somewhere in North Carolina, maybe Georgia. He's going to leave home, but that's all right. But it don't make how many stars you get, how many stars you got. And I guarantee you talking about Texas A&M. As long as they got Jimbo Fisher, they can get 50 players with 10 stars. And they won't win no more than maybe 10 games a year. They will not win anything nationally, champion anything with Jimbo Fisher. Now you write that down. And maybe old Gamecock Larry may not be around, but you say, that old boy told me that a couple of years ago. He sure did. Jimbo Fisher will not win nothing. Well, he won 10 games. He will win 10 games, but Jimbo will be out of a job in, I'll say, 2025. He'll be ready to take a buyout like old Muschamp. That's about all I got to say. I'm just feeling good this morning. I just wanted to holler at you a little bit. And all my friends out there, all my doctors, nurses out of the VA, my fellow vets. Old Gamecock Larry is feeling good. I'm going to sit back here in my recliner, and I got something to say to Mr. Harrison. What's his name? Harrison.
I don't know. He's on the next show. You can call him on the next show. We don't serve his. We're not the mail carriers of this station.
Bill, let me finish talking to you, buddy. I love you, Bo.
Love you too,
buddy.
All right.
Okay, go Gamecocks.
Go Gamecocks.
All right.
So I took from that.
I zoned down in the middle of that.
Well, what I did is I was trying to get in touch with my bookie to take the Rams. Just a lot on the Rams.
Has it moved?
And I also have now put in a bet for Texas A&M to win the national championship next year.
Yeah.
Just went ahead and got those 2 bets in. Has the spread moved? I do not think it is. If it's moved, it's not moved drastically more than a half a point right now. The Vegas odds on the Super Bowl still have the Rams at -4 to -4.5. Bet MGM has 4.5. Caesar Sportsbook at 4.5. Over under still set at 48.
I jumped in at Bengals +4
48
on Sunday night.
I was
hoping that it would climb down to like 2.5 and get under the key number, and I would look like a genius. But if it goes the other way, I'll be kind of kicking myself.
40.
Super Bowl spreads are pretty sharp, though. They usually don't move very much.
48, 48 is the over under 48.5. And and hot sauce Ross. I hope y'all keep a list of things Gamecock Larry tells you to write down. You could read them in the offseason. It's true. That could be a whole nother segment. 803-404-6100. That's how you can join us. Yep, I agree with DC on the Buford Lending live stream. Larry sounded great today. No doubt about that. Anthony says, I'll put that in my notes, Gamecock Larry. So a lot of you getting a good there. Good start to your morning. We hope you are up and at 'em. We hope you are ready to go. We got lots to get into. We'll get into this South Carolina coaching situation a little bit with Patrick Perrette here as Eric Kimmery, the on-field coach, leaves, but Connor Shaw, again, player development director or life coach, also parting ways with South Carolina yesterday. We'll get into that and more. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Live, local, and free. That's how we do sports. 107.5 The Game. Feel free to call and complain if you wish.
You should call that radio station and let him have it.
Remember, we are free of charge, after all.
Oh, those mortgage interest rates. I know you're following them daily because you want to get the best deal possible. And let's face it, if you're trying to follow them daily and you're trying to do all the other things you have to do in life, that can be a bit annoying. Nope. Go to the professionals. Go to somebody who has 25 plus years of experience in the mortgage industry to help you shop and lock your rate today. That would be the one, the only Benji Getsy with Buford Lending, named in the top 1% of producing loan officers in the state of South Carolina and the entire United Wholesale Mortgage. You can get in touch with Benji Getsy today to help you lock in on those great rates that are still available. As Benji says, rates have gone up a bit. Refinancing is down across the board, but you still have great opportunities right now. And if you haven't taken advantage, give Benji Getsy and Buford Lending a call today, 843-524-2404. You can visit them on the web. Buford.mortgage is the way to do that. If you're purchasing and you need to shop your rate with Benji, he will get you a lower rate, which will give you more buying power. Again, the rates are still excellent. They're still well below pre-pandemic levels. So now is the time to take advantage by getting in touch with Benji Getsy. Just give him a call for 5 or 10 minutes and let him earn your business. Tell you what he can do for you and your family to save money, put some money back in your wallet, maybe for a summer vacation. Wouldn't that be a lot of fun? 843-524-2404. That's Benji Getsy and Buford Lending.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. ShepherdsGlass.com.
Just one accident to let you know about first thing this morning, and that is Windsor Lake Boulevard near I-77. And we do have a great forecast on tap, at least warm temperature-wise. Warm and breezy today, 75 for the high. Overnight low, 63. And then tomorrow, we're looking for a high of 72, but then that overnight low drops 38. And we could see some rain coming in. Saturday, only 52. So enjoy today and tomorrow while you can. It's 54 right now at 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by South Carolina Education Lottery. The Mega Millions jackpot for Friday is $22 million. Be sure to stop by your local South Carolina Education.
Yeah, so how do I understand it? If you go to this hot sauce Ross or somebody sent us this recruiting ranking, or the way they did it on 24, if you click, says recruit, transfer, overall. But South Carolina has the number 7 transfer total class.
Oh yeah, overall. So overall, South Carolina is at 27.
But so the ranking went down. If you add in those guys, I mean that's a lot.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, some of it looks like it would make sense. Like LSU going up to number 6 looks like it should make sense on the surface, but and Southern Cal going up to number 10 makes sense. Ole Miss going to 14 makes sense. Probably long. Yeah, it was bad. I mean, everything about the announcement.
Oh, our oh wait, is this?
It's another tab.
Keep talking of.
Yeah, everything about it was bad. I mean, Craig Melvin was stumbling all over himself to start the thing. That was bad. And then they just awkwardly gave it to Doug Williams to be like, "We are the Commanders." And John Allen had to awkwardly sit there and smile. There's a video of Chase Young, I retweeted, doing a podcast video or something where they're just going through different names, saying grade them on an A to F scale. And they said, Commanders. He said, "Oh, F." I retweeted on my bro. You can see him clearly. It's not a joke. Completely brushed it off. And he was not even there. He's in Colorado or something. Terry McLaurin wasn't there. He's at home in Indiana. Only John Allen was there. Ron Rivera wasn't even there. He's in California. Didn't go to the Senior Bowl. Didn't go to the name reveal. I'm actually done with Ron Rivera. I think he sucks as a coach. I'm really grizzled.
Yeah, just if you grab the, I don't know where it's early on, and it's really just the opening statement. It's kind of all broken down.
I guarantee there's an easier way to do it. I can search on Twitter, and somebody probably clipped a video of it. One of the news guys probably clipped a video of it. I'll see if I can find it.
It is a Thursday morning, February the 3rd, 6:32 a.m. here on the early game. What we're talking about this morning, South Carolina and Clemson wrap up National Signing Day, the uneventful February signing day now. Used to be a lot of fun. We used to have wall-to-wall coverage and just be completely hungover when we showed up on Thursday morning, just awash in signing day news. We'd look awful. We'd look terrible, more so than we already do. But signing day is moved. Now it is now the big deal comes in December, and yesterday kind of squeaked out information. Clemson landing Caden Story. That was kind of their big news of yesterday. South Carolina kind of very quietly, just nothing. I thought they might at least get a 2023 announcement yesterday, Patrick. Just for the record, the second welcome home that Shane Beamer tweeted out a few weeks ago still has yet to go public with his commitment. I thought yesterday the start of the official, what I used to always consider the official start of the next recruiting cycle, I thought maybe you would get the first commitment in that 2023 class, but a very, very quiet day for South Carolina in terms of recruiting. What we are talking about this morning was the coaching news yesterday. Eric Kimmery leaving his position as tight ends coach for South Carolina. Connor Shaw leaving his position as director of player development there. Look, there's two ways to look at this, and one of them is kind of the elephant in the room discussion that has been had regarding Marcus Satterfield and his relationship with the staff and his job performance. There's been speculation that he did not get along with staff members this year. It's nothing more than that, speculation. Let's be very clear about that. That is what some people on message boards have implied, and by people I mean like Tony Morrell and some of the other people that not just Gamecock user 24689.
Yeah.
It's been some of those people, the admins there on the message boards who implied that. But so a lot of people have speculated that two guys who were Gamecocks, that are lifelong Gamecocks, decided to leave the job because of that. Maybe that's true. Yesterday, Shane Beamer said that is 1,000,000,000% not true, that everybody is leaving on good terms, that they are happy. We've not heard, or at least I've not seen what we've heard from Eric Kimmery yet. Connor Shaw did release a statement on his departure from the University of South Carolina, basically saying that he will still be around and that he is not going anywhere, that basically he's just going to move into a different profession at a different job. The actual quote, and we will pull this video and let you listen to it for you if you have not heard it. But it says, "Good afternoon. I don't like quotes. I don't like statements because they leave so much room for interpretation or skepticism. I promise you this, there's nothing negative about the transition for anybody. I had the opportunity to speak to our players this morning, and so I'll take time to address this with everyone else." And we'll get that video and get it pulled. It's not very long at all that you can see from Connor Shaw there on his Twitter account, which he put up a video. But Patrick, that's the first part of it, is that people are going to speculate this morning that it has to do, because it was put out there again by Tony Morrell of thebigspur.com and others over the course of the season, that there was friction on the offensive staff between Marcus Satterfield and other coaches. And people are going to look at this Eric Kimmery situation and speculate that's what's part of it is. But there's really nothing substantial, whether it's from Shane Beamer right now, Eric Kimmery, Marcus Satterfield, or anybody else, that is the truth to the story.
Yeah, and that wouldn't be the reason for Connor Shaw no matter what, right? I mean, he's not working with the staff like that, is he? I wouldn't think. I thought he's more just off the field stuff.
Yeah, I don't know why he would necessarily be fully under Marcus Satterfield.
Yeah.
You know what? He doesn't game plan. He's not again, he's the director of football relations.
He reports to
Shane Beamer,
really, right?
I would assume, strictly to Shane Beamer. He's not there calling plays or doing anything.
And Marcus Lattimore left the same job too. Nobody thought it was like a big deal then, did they?
Not when he left, but it did later kind of come out that there was friction with he and Will Muschamp,
Right.
that he wasn't particularly impressed with the direction of the program. But to go back to this, yeah, with Connor Shaw, I don't see anything. Eric Kimmery, if you want to say maybe with Eric Kimmery because of play calling, because of use of the tight ends, because of okay, all right, maybe, and maybe that'll come out in time. To switch sides on this, though, at this point, look, nothing against Eric. We're all friends. He's obviously been a part of this radio station. I don't know what loss this is. Like Eric's a good guy. He's got high school relations. Certainly, he's a football
aren't
mind.
really about that. It's just what it could represent or the reasoning behind it. And if we want to be completely like non-conspiratorial, we both know Eric. People that have listened to Eric know that he's a very deep thinker.
Mhm.
He likes to read. He taught like philosophy or something like that. So if the rumor, I mean, I don't know what I'd never heard of the school that it's rumored that he's going to. I don't even know if we're allowed or supposed to say that, but I Googled it, and it looks spectacular.
Yeah, you can say it.
It's the Baylor School in Chattanooga.
Mhm.
It looks incredible. It's $60,000 for a kid to go there. It's right on the water. Looks like an amazing place. So coaching high school football, being able to teach a class, I assume he would teach some cool class to kids that probably are really interested in it. That's a very intriguing prospect for a person. I mean, maybe I think he does have a fondness for high school age kids and really getting to mold people at an important time in their life, and coaching high school football where you can be the head guy and control everything, and it's just a little bit less stress and something he might actually just enjoy more.
Yeah, I do think with Kimmery that there's a part of it that, again, we look at the big money, and I don't know what exactly Kimmery. I think he was only making about 180,000 this
Yeah.
year, and I have talked to people who, again, this is a upper echelon private school, not just in the state of Tennessee, but
Country.
across the country as whole as well. And there is a connection there. I believe it was is referred to as the headmaster of Hammond is now working at that school, and that's why this opportunity arose, because that particular person had seen Kimmery in action and knows what he's all about and knows how he can coach. And I think, again, what we sometimes forget with college football coaches, it's a difficult job. I mean, I've talked to these guys because of working with ESPN and working with 24/7 Sports. There's a period where you're on the road. You don't see your kids all that often. You're at the office. The joke about you go from Steve Spurrier to Will Muschamp, and Spurrier kind of openly bragging during his tenure. Yeah, we don't have to work as hard as the other guys. Our guys go home to be with their families at night and have dinner. And you saw Shane Beamer even this year, I think, putting up a video kind of almost ecstatic that one morning, I think during the bye week, he got to take his son or his kids to school. The money's great. There's no denying that you can make a lot of money as a college football coach if you can get to a high level, but there's also a sacrifice to that. I remember doing the one of the first interviews that we did with Will Muschamp. The only interview he would do on this program, because apparently we wanted to talk donuts and vacations and not so much football and X's and O's and overhang defenders and post safeties. But I brought up the fact that, he likes to grill, and he said, look, as a football coach, I'm basically at the office 20 out of 24 hours. I'm there all the time. He goes, the house that he bought on the lake, the things he do, he says, my family better enjoy the lifestyle because I'm not really there to enjoy it, and they're not really seeing their father. I better give them the best lifestyle possible. You mentioned with Kimmery, it may be something as simple as he doesn't want to recruit. It's a lot. Joe Brady doesn't want to recruit. He wants to do NFL stuff because
Or not even just the recruiting part. Like Joe Brady, I think, actually doesn't like talking to people and being in living rooms. I think he just wants to coach ball. Kimmery is personable, but it's the time commitment of recruiting and having to travel and be away from the family. Just if you just think about it on a personal level, the idea of, okay, he's going to be on campus, the same campus that his kids go to. He can, see them in between classes, or they can come do their homework or whatever while he's coaching. And it's just a nice life where you can go home at the end of the school day or coach your practice, be home at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock after practice and just have a normal night instead of, okay, well, we just did practice. Well, I've got to go to Atlanta tonight to go recruit a couple kids, and I'm flying up to Philly tomorrow. And it's just a lot. So if you're not making $2 million a year, not everybody wants to do that.
Yeah, or who knows?
I think that just talk all the conversations we've had with him. I think he's a teacher at heart too.
Is he?
I mean, he talks about philosophy and posts quotes on his Twitter and stuff. Like he's clearly values the education side of things.
Well, and anytime you've ever dealt with Kimmery, yeah, you're right. There is a different level of dealing with high school students on that level and dealing with college students. It's a different level. We'll see. We don't know the answers. Eric Kimmery does. Again, Shane Beamer coming out yesterday. We'll get some audio on that, and saying that, look, he says, as he put it, it's a 1,000,000,000% their decision basically on the fact that this is just something that they wanted to do. It was great opportunities for them. And he said, this is the quote from Beamer, those guys are leaving on fantastic terms here at South Carolina. Eric and I have been talking about this potential opportunity for the last 2.5 weeks that he had, and I know that it was not an easy decision for him. I'll let him talk about his situation more when he's ready to do that. I can't say that it was an easy decision for him. He loves this place, but what a great opportunity for he and his family. So again, Beamer being very emphatic yesterday, saying that both Connor Shaw and Eric Kimmery are leaving on fantastic terms and that there's no issues there. So, again, a lot of speculation, a lot of discussion about it. To be honest, in talking with people down there, I think like any coaching staff where you have a bunch of alpha egos, yes, when a play call goes wrong, I don't think every coach when Jordan Burch threw a pass at the goal line went, "Oh yeah, no, that was a good play
Right.
call. I'm very happy about that one." Yes.
Particularly, maybe a tight ends coach where that's the
Yeah.
money-making opportunity for tight ends.
Yeah.
Normally, they're your red zone guys.
So, yeah. So, are people always happy on a coaching staff? No. Even during Steve Spurrier, one of his 11-2 seasons, we saw two coaches throwing punches at each other over against each other at the Georgia game. Kirk Bakken and Deke Adams. Who was it? Kirk Bakken and I now forget the other coach. I'll have to see if we can remember. That was a wild scenario where two of them during a game at Georgia did not seem fond of each other. 803-404-6100. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Frank Martin, and you're listening to 107.5 The Game, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia.
This Valentine's, I tell you what, you need to skip the rush on cards, chocolates, and flowers. Here's what you've got for your loved one. Give them what they really want. The insanely clean house from the pros at Zero Res. That's right. I keep my house insanely clean with the help of Zero Res so that when the neighbors stop by, when the family stops by, they look at me like I have been slaving in the house all day long, making sure that the house looks beautiful for their arrival. It's actually all because of Zero Res. And you can give them a phone call today to get them to your house. 803-262-4020. 3 rooms of carpet clean for $119 plus a free hallway when you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game. That's right. All you got to do is remember my name. How hard is that? 3 rooms of carpet clean for $119 plus a free hallway. You can book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. They use their patented ZR water technology, scientifically proven to keep your rugs, your tile, your upholstery insanely clean. So go ahead, call Zero Res today. When you mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, you'll get 3 rooms of carpet clean for $119 plus a free hallway. Book online, ZeroResColumbia.com. Zero Res, spell it forwards or backwards. It's the right way to clean. Let's see here. My gosh, is Shaneen Holloway really this old? He was on.
Bill, I really don't understand how this makes sense because South Carolina had 216 points.
Oh, you're looking at the 24.
They had 216 points, 216.8 points for recruiting, and then the transfer portal they had 48. So that would be roughly in the area of 66.8. They should be at 266.8, but this shows them having 230 points.
Yeah.
Something's
do
wrong
those,
here.
I can tell you from past. They do those algorithms and they don't add up. I don't.
Right, so LSU 278 for transfer. They had 65 points. For recruiting, they had 244. So maybe it's like 305. Yeah, you can't just add up the numbers. It doesn't work.
I'm giving her a lot of stuff. Yeah, no. You would think you would just add in the point totals.
What are you giving her? Stuff to cut?
Well, just sort of find that Connor Shaw video. That's just on Twitter.
Does this person you responded to, does it show? Why does it look like this? It says today and then December 7th.
I don't know. Sometimes it
Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't know. And that's actually not how it shows up on mine. So I don't know. That's actually weird. Who knows? All right. 6:49 on a Thursday morning, February the 3rd. Hope you're doing well. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, and Jen Jensen all coming along and joining you here. You can join us 803-404-6100 via the text line or via the Love Chevy phone lines. Patrick, another NFL day, another storyline where a coach comes out and says that a team was incentivizing a losing season, I guess is how we would say it. Former Cleveland Brown head coach Hugh Jackson said yesterday on ESPN SportsCenter that the team had a 4-year plan and that it incentivized losing during the first 2 years, which led to his 1-31 record during 2016 and 2017. Jackson said that the bonus money was available if certain measurables were met, such as aggregate rankings, being the youngest team and having so many draft picks. This is the quote from Jackson. Teams that win are just not the youngest team. Not the youngest teams. Not that the youngest teams cannot win, so I didn't understand the process. I did not understand what the plan was. I asked for clarity because it did not talk about winning and losing until year 3 and 4. So that told you right there that something wasn't correct, but I still couldn't understand it until I had the team that I had. Jackson said he also told Browns owner Jimmy Haslam that he wasn't interested in bonus money and instead wanted the money used to improve the team. Now, this is on the heels of Brian Flores basically coming out and saying that the Miami Dolphins agreed to pay him $100,000 for every loss in his first year to tank so that they could get a better draft pick. Therefore, they would be able to build their team. This is this is not just an NFL thing. Because it felt like the Philadelphia 76ers for years, this was their plan, and it was part of the so-called process. But, I mean, what Brian Flores, this is completely separate of Flores' racial discrimination class action lawsuit that he filed yesterday. But in hearing Hugh Jackson and hearing Brian Flores talk about teams, openly talking about teams, openly tanking, telling their coaches, let's lose to get better draft picks. Is this news? Is this shocking to you? Like, where do you...
The Brian Flores one, I actually do believe. The Hugh Jackson thing, I don't believe it. Maybe it's nitpicky or not fair to believe one and not the other, but I watched Hugh Jackson on Hard Knocks, and I think he's an absolutely awful head coach. And I don't believe him. And the Browns statement, normally when someone or I guess an organization claps back as hard as they did, I tend to believe them. because I saw this retweeted by Mike Garafolo, the insider for NFL Network. The statement from the Browns was, the recent comments by Hugh Jackson and his representatives relating to his tenure as our head coach are completely fabricated. Any accusation that any member of our organization was incentivized to deliberately lose games is categorically false. And Garafolo quote tweeted that saying, if Hugh Jackson has receipts, the Browns just challenged him to produce them. So the Browns are saying, like, there's absolutely no way this is true. Go ahead and try and prove it, because it's completely false. So if Hugh Jackson comes back and says, like, yeah, here's what I was told and yada yada, like, maybe that's something. But I mean, saying we want to be a young team, we want to have a bunch of draft picks, like, that is how bad franchises rebuild. You take lots of swings in the draft, and just statistically speaking, you have more chances to hit on a draft pick if you have more picks. So certain things like that, I don't think are incentivizing losing. I mean, Brian Flores straight up said he was offered money to lose games. If that's true, and he could prove it, that is a bombshell. The Hugh Jackson thing is kind of a nothing, and I think he's piling on. I think his heart might be in the right place, but I just don't believe that he lost games because he was incentivized to lose games. I mean, I think he's a bad coach.
The Browns went 1-15 in 2016 and 0-16 the next season, giving them the number one draft pick in back-to-back years. They have drafted Myles Garrett in 2017 and Baker Mayfield in 2018. Jackson was fired midway through the 2019 season. He's now been hired by Grambling State. He was hired this past December, so he's now been hired by Grambling State to be their head coach. Interesting times in the NFL. We'll get back into this just because in terms of tanking, I feel like we all know what happens, but now it's being brought to light. And I'm with you. The Brian Flores situation, I kind of agree with. Hugh Jackson, I'm not sure, but I could understand the Browns doing it. We'll talk about that. We'll get back into the South Carolina football discussion. National Signing Day was yesterday. And Kerry Tharp joins us at 8:45 this morning. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
Yes. Oh, yeah, that weird text was the same guy that texted 5 different times, where do cheaters hide the Valentine's gifts?
Yeah, I saw that. And at one point he said, she does. Like I thought he might be joking. It was all very, I don't know.
A weird cat. Oh, man. I think Venable will be good for Oklahoma because they need defense.
It was evident, period, that all said that he does not. What was it? Does not.
All that said,
didn't incentivize him to lose. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good text, but I just think that was Baker's rookie year. Like, the pieces, the process was finished by the time Hard Knocks started. So I think maybe they incentivized him to lead to that point. But then once he had the pieces, he couldn't do anything with them because he's a terrible coach. Brian Flores is a good football coach. I would want Brian Flores to coach my team. If you offered me straight up Brian Flores or for Ron Rivera, I would take him.
Yeah, and that's why it's interesting because you feel like Flores would have definitely gotten his chance to coach again. I'm just not sure where.
Yeah. I would in the NFC East, I would rather have Brian Flores or Brian Dable than any coach in the NFC East. I think they're better than every coach in the NFC East right now. Nick Sirianni kind of had a good year, but he's a dork. Or dope. Either one. Mike McCarthy is a moron.
Hey, if you go back and look at this one texter, he did actually text good stuff.
Not really.
Prior to he was right. He got the Bengals beating the Chiefs.
That's so what? So did Gamecock Larry.
That's true, actually. Well, I mean, he wasn't over the top. Like, let's say he's gone and
Yeah.
And if you want to do one of those giveaways this hour and one next hour, and just say we'll take callers 4 and 5, because I think I need to get like 4 winners.
4 and 5.
Okay. So just say caller 4 and 5. I'm checking right now. Okay, good.
The Game with Bill Gunter and Patrick Perrette and producer extraordinaire Jen Jensen. The coffee is brewed, the donuts are fresh. It's time for the early game.
Hey, will you guys let me know if this ever airs?
On 107.5 The Game.
Our number 2, the Thursday episode. It is February 3rd. Hope you are doing well this morning. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen. It's the early game coming up at 8, about 8:45, maybe a little bit earlier this morning. Carrie Tharp will join us, Darlington Raceway president, and I believe third place or maybe second place. Doesn't matter. If you don't win first place like I did, you don't really pay attention to second or third place,
I'm
fourth
looking
place.
forward to this season.
You are looking forward to this season. It will be NASCAR season this coming weekend as they'll get going with the clash out at the Coliseum. And by the Coliseum, I mean the Los Angeles Coliseum.
The Roman Coliseum would be much cooler.
No doubt
I
about
won't be
that.
impressed until they're racing around the Roman Coliseum.
We'll see if Carrie can get that going. It will be the start to the 74th season for the NASCAR professional stock car racing in the United States and the 51st season for the Modern Era Cup Series, Jen. Were you aware of those numbers? 74th overall season, 51st in the Modern Era.
Pretty sure I wasn't, counting all that. No. Can you tell me a little bit about the next gen car, though?
We look forward to talking about that at 8:45.
Yeah.
Don't give away all the good stuff on the show, Jen. Good grief. That's unbelievable. Trying to just
The Master Deflector.
What was the first before the modern era? 51 years in the modern era. What was the first one?
74th overall season. I believe that's when they
Of NASCAR?
Mhm.
Weren't
74th.
cars invented in like the mid 20s, 1920s.
Yeah, but he's not
Okay,
saying
well, it is
74 plus 50.
it is
He's saying-
2022. So if you did
So
74
cars
season,
were only invented for like 20 years before not even 20 years before we started racing them officially.
Yeah,
officially,
and they
yeah, I
started
would
racing
imagine.
sooner
I
than
would
that.
imagine the first two people who owned a car was like, I wonder whose car goes faster.
Actually, I guess there were cars. I guess the mid 20s was a Model T, so that's when everybody was able to start getting a
The
car.
Romans were racing horses.
Yep.
With
Yeah,
chariots
racing.
behind them. I mean,
Yeah, I thought it was like the 50s though, when like everyone kind of started getting their own car.
oh, guess what? 72 years ago would have been
Interesting. That's just a long time.
But IndyCar racing, was way, way early. Long time.
When's
Long
Ford-
time ago.
When does
Well,
Ford
they had
versus
over
Ferrari
100
take place?
over 100 years. The Indy 500.
I don't know if that's factually correct there.
Are you kidding me?
That seems
Over
a little.
100 years.
But yeah, I was going to say Jen just said over 100 years. Okay, Jen's right. It's 111 years.
Thank you.
First race, 1911.
We had cars that were going that fast in 1911.
Well,
How fast?
I don't
were
know if they were
driving
going
in
that fast,
1911?
but they were apparently
Yeah,
there was
going.
apparently an Indy race in 1911.
Mhm.
I'm surprised.
The
Maybe it shouldn't be. I guess that's.
Well,
kind
see,
of
we can
stupid.
share this information from you. The next Jen car is saved for the Kerry Tharp segment,
Mhm.
Jen. That's why I'm holding on. But this is good information.
know.
The Indianapolis Motor Speedway complex was built in 1909 as a gravel and tar track and hosted a smattering of small events, including one for motorcycles. How about that?
Which had to be fun. They recently did a core, like they cross-sectioned and pulled a piece of core
Mhm.
from the track so that they can kind of keep an eye on all kinds of different things as far as how they're wearing and stuff. But when they took it out, you could see all the different types of surfacing that they've had, over the 100 and some years. It was pretty cool to just see all the different layers of compounds and such.
Steve
All
points
right.
out on the text line, he says Prohibition, which is when we really, I think, started racing cars. The moonshiners versus the police officers. It was a constant race, usually
Well,
a very
that's-
That's how
competitive
NASCAR
race.
started.
That's in Talladega Nights, and when Ricky's sleeping on the porch and his dad throws a bucket of water on him and says, "How'd stock car racing get invented?" And then he answered that, and then he said, "All right, well, I taped a kilo of cocaine under your car and then call the
Right.
cops. Better get going." Yeah.
Okay, so
All right, but I just because I thought I was like kind of good with dates. I googled when the Wright brothers flight was. Within 10 years, when was the Wright brothers flight?
I'm going to guess 1898.
Okay, Jen.
I was going like 1889 or something like that.
It's a good thing I said within 10 years. It was 1903.
Yeah,
Okay,
that's
I
that's
couldn't
why I ballparked. I was going to give myself from 1890 to roughly 1910, and then I went a little bit. It wouldn't have surprised me if it was 1898. So I went
Mhm.
or 19.
I thought it was going to be in the
1880.
1910s.
No, we've got a lot. Yep, Mitchell weighs in. Look at look. This is why we are such a very good show here. Mitchell weighs in. The first Model T was 1908. So see,
Mhm.
we cover
Yeah.
the gamut here on the show, from
Yep.
liver pudding to chicken bog recipes.
And that's why we work 5 days a week, because of the stupid Model T and Henry Ford.
It's yep, and that also is very possible. And Mitchell giving us the first Model T was 1908. So there you go. A lot of information there. Again, Kerry Tharp, Darlington Raceway president, will join us for his weekly NASCAR segment coming up at 8:45 this morning. We will get back into our picks contest, in which yours truly has won. Jen, I'm being serious. That's clever. That was real clever, Jen. Just cut my mic off. In all seriousness, have you kept track? I know you keep track, but do you have the standings for the results of the last 4 years? Have you got those on an Excel sheet somewhere?
Actually, I do. Mhm.
Do you? So if we do get hold of a trophy, we can put the winners of the last 4. I think I've got 2 wins. I feel like you've got a victory. Not sure
No,
if
Carrie does.
Carrie's got a victory. Okay.
Yep.
You don't have a victory?
I don't. I seem like I'm always the bridesmaid.
Well, okay. It seems fair. Seems fair. So yeah, we'll do that season 4 or season 5. We'll see if Jen's doing a lot of work back there. We got some audio we're going to get to this hour. Obviously, there are other things taking place, and we will get back into those. But yeah, we will get to Kerry Tharp coming up at 8:45 this morning, and I believe it is next. Is it next week, Jen, that we officially start our picks?
I believe that is when we're going to start. I can't remember if I was going to start it, for like the duels, or if I just was going straight, because I figured that might confuse you. So it might just be the Daytona 500 that we actually start our picks. But
I am
I'll get the sheet pulled up.
confused early. So
Mhm.
803-404-6100. If you want to weigh in this morning, you can do so on the text line, on the Love Chevy phone lines. Also, go and join us on the Buford Lending live stream. RL, Larry, bunch of people weighing in there, and you can be a part of that. I see Perry Perrette has weighed in there as well. So good to have him.
Yeah, what do you think he weighed in on?
Of course, he would weigh in on the news of yesterday. The Washington Commodores is now the home of the Washington football team. Certainly, it's I think the best way to describe this was part of the news of yesterday, and we'll get in kind of recapping everything. National Signing Day, the Washington Commodores Obviously, what happened at South Carolina with the coaches. But Patrick, I think the best way to describe that was certainly somebody sent in on text. It sounded like a team name that you get when EA Sports or somebody cannot get the licensing agreement for the NFL. This is like the fake team name that you get from some random video game company that couldn't get the licensing agreement. The jerseys didn't bother me. My son Austin actually looked at it last night and he was kind of a fan. I think he just was a
Well, good, because that's who they're marketing to. It's not me. It's not my dad. It's Austin.
So yeah, I think well, I also think it because somewhere along the line he's become a DeAndre Hopkins and Arizona Cardinals fan, and I think he liked the white jerseys
Because they look like Cardinals
because they
jerseys?
look like the
Yeah.
Cardinals jerseys.
So, yeah. Not really what Commanders fans want to hear, though.
No. So it's interesting, but now you turn your attention, you get this over with. The next thing is building some kind of new stadium, right?
Well, yeah, that is actually part of yesterday, is that I do think that the name was in some ways a political.
I apologize. I think I did call them the Commodores. They're the Commanders, which is already going to.
Wasn't even paying
Yeah,
attention.
thank you, Tyson, for waiting. I didn't realize I said. I knew as soon as I said it, but maybe they will be on the same level as the Commodores that South Carolina sees on a yearly basis.
They kind of are the NFL's version of the Commodores right now. But yeah, I mean, Muriel Bowser, the mayor of DC, did put out a tweet yesterday saying the next step, like every other team in DC, is to get the Commanders their new home in the district. And that is what everyone wants. I mean, no one wants to build a stadium in Maryland or Virginia. Everything is already in Virginia. The DC stadium is what everyone wants. The RFK site is what everyone wants. And maybe the fact that they have a new name is actually something that people are going to be able to agree on, because it is just weird being in DC where it's government controlled land. So the politicians and people that don't live in DC are not Washington fans, don't care about the team at all, control what happens with the team in regards to that site. So their lease ends at FedEx Field in 2027. That place is the worst. Everything about yesterday that took place at FedEx Field was a joke. So I don't know. I really, I guess it can't get worse.
803-404-6100, and that is how you can join us this morning. If you want to weigh in and correct me, if I got a feeling that that little slip will not be the first time when we have to reference the Commanders, that I'll go with Commodores.
And then I'll just start playing some of their music.
Thank you. There you go. Look at that.
Yeah, they're coming up with a new fight song as well.
Okay,
the fans will apparently be involved.
That was part of the.
I'll never get Craig Melvin's laugh from yesterday out of my head, by the way.
Yeah, that was part of the big news yesterday for the NFL. The other news, again, National Signing Day taking place across the board. Texas A&M finishing with the number one class in the nation. And Patrick, you pointed it out, they did land Shamar Stewart, the 5-star defensive lineman out of Miami, that gave them one of the, if not the top class ever in the history of 24/7 Sports' rankings, but they missed on a key piece that they had committed. Harold Perkins will be a big part. Now, the good news,
committed.
I thought he committed at one point.
I don't think
Did
so.
he not? Okay. They did miss, though, on Perkins, who goes to LSU. And I guess the good news for LSU is that he didn't do the weird photo shoot with Brian Kelly.
That it actually is funny that
That's why I brought it up.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I can't remember the kid's name. I was going to look up the kid's name real quick. Yeah. The kid that did the dancing video with Brian Kelly ended up committing to Alabama yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think that was the turning point? Do you think Nick Saban called him up or somebody said, hey, look, if you come here, we don't have to do that. We just eat oatmeal cream pies and win championships. That's all we do around here at Alabama. If you want to go do weird photo shoots, that's no problem.
I don't know. I think I would like to see have seen what the background of that was. Well, like, did he think it would be funny if he said, Brian Kelly, like, come on, coach, get in this thing with me. It'll be cool. It'll be funny. Or if Brian Kelly was like, all right, bud, you step up there, do one by yourself. All right, now let me get in there and do one with you. Like, does he have maybe a sense of humor, or is he actually just the cringeworthy dad who thinks that this is really awesome? Like, I don't know. Like, was the kid gonna go to LSU, but this way, like, if that was a part of his decision, and Brian Kelly's weird personality is actually becoming
you
an
know
issue.
this. You're kind of from the area. 3-star tight end Danny Lewis Jr., who was seen dancing with LSU coach Brian Kelly in a viral video, has committed to Alabama. 6'4", 235 pounds. He is the number 36 recruit in Louisiana. So you get a Louisiana kid. He's the number 40 tight end nationally. He was originally committed to Cincinnati back on January 12th. So he's committed there, according to 24/7 Sports. He made official visits to LSU, Alabama, and Florida over the last 2 weeks. There is a viral video of Danny Lewis Jr. dancing with Kelly after his official visit, and it was the very cringeworthy video. If you haven't seen the one with the quarterback that he has committed, whose name slips my mind now,
Walker Howard.
Okay, was questionable at best. This one was just as bad, if not worse. But no doubt about it, a Louisiana kid who gets the what I would assume is the dream offer, and ends up going
Most
to
Louisiana kids, it is.
ends up going to Alabama. So that was kind of the news yesterday.
But
Nothing.
it's hard to say that it's hurting them because he pulled in a phenomenal class.
No, it's not. Kids aren't laughing at this like we are.
Yeah.
The kids aren't like, the kid, and I'm not saying that every kid's out there like, man, I got to go to LSU and get this viral video shoot or this weird.
And I don't know that a kid cares if his coach is cool. He's just like, yeah, my coach is a dork, but it doesn't matter. I'm at LSU. I'm playing in Death Valley, and I'm going to the NFL in 3 years. Every coach that's coached at LSU in the last 30 years has won a national championship. So that's where I'm going to go.
So it was something. It was something. In terms of South Carolina, Paulie asked, South Carolina yesterday, no news in regards to recruiting. South Carolina finishes. Now we're looking, Patrick has been racking his brain trying to figure out how 24/7 Sports did their transfer portal ranking and their recruiting ranking and then combined them. He's yet to figure it out. It's math beyond our
It's
comprehension.
not as simple as just adding up the points.
Right. South Carolina in the transfer portal team ranking finished 7th. Southern Cal, Mississippi, LSU, Oklahoma at 4, Florida State. Just to give you numbers, and this is interesting, Patrick, in the transfer portal, because I didn't realize this until this morning, how many commitments these schools had taken. Southern Cal's a brand name team. LSU's a brand name team. Oklahoma's been in the Final Four within the last few years. Florida State, to me, is still a brand name team. But listen to the number of commitments these schools took. Lincoln Riley at Southern Cal took 13 transfers in this class. So you look at that, that's a lot of transfers. LSU took 12 transfers in this class. Brent Venables and Oklahoma took 10 transfers in this class. Florida State, trying to rebuild that program, took 10 transfers in this class. South Carolina's there with 7. Scott Frost at Nebraska, who had the number 10 transfer class, according to 24/7 Sports, took 12 commitments, 12 transfers in this class. This is now a big part of college football recruiting, and you're right, the math on the numbers is kind of funny. I'm not real sure how 24/7 Sports arrives with that. South Carolina with the number 7 class in terms of recruiting, according to 24/7 Sports composite rankings for high school recruits. The Gamecocks finish at 26th in the class, 22 commitments, and then 7 more in the transfer portal.
But it does show you that the best schools, like Alabama, takes 3. But who'd they take? Oh, they took Eli Ricks, the number 1 corner in the country. They took Jermaine Burton, who just won a national championship at Georgia, is a stud, but doesn't want to play for Stetson Bennett. He wants an actually good quarterback. And then they took, what's the running back from Georgia? Jahmyr Gibbs, who was an awesome running back for Georgia Tech. And now he's just going to plug and play after Brian Robinson. So, like, the best schools, Alabama's just going to, win everything because they're not going to have to take chances on guys, and they'll just plug and play stars from other schools. Like, who'd they take last year? Oh, Henry To'oTo'o, just a 5-star linebacker, Mr. Everything for Tennessee, and he just goes in and starts right away. So it is going to be interesting. Teams, I think the best teams will still continue to probably build through the high school ranks. But, I mean, Texas A&M, it is just kind of, it could be interesting that, okay, well, Texas A&M has the best 2022 class. In 1 year, 6 of those kids could be at Alabama, or 6 of those kids could just be gone. And 2 years from now, Texas A&M will say, all right, well, our 2022 class is now all juniors and seniors. This is our time to strike. This is where we try and win championships. And next thing you know, Alabama's brought in 4 transfers, a 5-star quarterback, and yada, yada. And they're just still like the kings of the mountaintops. Like, I just don't know that you're going to be able to say, like, you're not going to be able to project out a team for the next 3 to 4 years. And Texas A&M fans are already, like, they gave Jimbo the the dateless trophy, the national championship trophy. They're probably ready to plug it in sometime between 2025 and 2026 based off this class alone. But the transfer portal is just not going to make that the lock that you think it is.
Your point on Alabama, you mentioned Jermaine Burton, you mentioned Jamar Gibbs, who ended up going to Georgia Tech and having a phenomenal season and was one of the most highly coveted recruits in the transfer portal because of what he brings to the running back position. They also pick up a guy that you were pretty fond of, that you knew and from his time at LSU, in Eli Ricks there, who was a top-notch cornerback. I mean, they literally went out and picked up this is free. What Alabama did is free agency at its finest, picking up 3 elite players that will likely start for them this year.
Yeah. I mean, Eli Ricks, I thought, was going to go to Southern Cal because he is from California. I think he went to Mater Dei. I could be wrong about that, but he's from Southern California, and he took a visit to Southern Cal. So I thought he was going to go there, but the fact that he just flips from LSU to Alabama is ridiculous. Jahmyr Gibbs had a monster season. Jermaine Burton, we all know how good he is. He just needs a good quarterback. And yeah, Eli Ricks is probably the best. He's probably going to be the best returning cornerback in the country. So he's going to plug and play right there, and he's going to be a first-round pick after playing at Alabama. So it's always going to be ridiculous what they're able to do.
803-404-6100. We'll also get into what was the story of South Carolina yesterday, the departures of Eric Kimmery and of Connor Shaw. We got some audio of that we'll play for you coming up in the next segment and get back into that as well. Again, let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Ty has waited patiently. Ty, how you doing this morning? What's on your mind?
Hey, guys. How y'all doing?
Doing good.
I got a statement and a question. The statement is, I love the transfer portal. Excuse me. The secondary market is going to open it up for lots of teams that don't get them number one recruits straight out of high school like Alabama does. Once they get to Alabama and realize, oh, I got to sit on the bench, I might go somewhere else and start. Had the same success that Michigan State has. They would never have that without the portal. So I love the portal. I think it's going to help level the player ground. Is Alabama going to reach it? Of course they are. They're the champs right now. But if they miss on a prospect that they take in or they don't fit and it don't go like they want, they can also, like I said, go down far as if they pick the wrong players, just like anybody else. But I love the transfer portal for what I think it can do for college football over the long term. But my question is, when you were talking about LSU coaches, when was the last time LSU coach wasn't weird? Like, I guess you got to go back to Nick Saban, maybe. Like, everyone had like a quirk, eating grass, or the way they just conduct themselves. It's just like, I don't know. It's just something about LSU coaches. I'll take this off air, but it's just something weird about LSU.
Well, I think LSU is a extremely unique place. Like, it is. They are kind of a weird fan base. Maybe not weird. They're just alcoholics. And
I was gonna say, is it the bourbon? Is it you get down there and it's something in the bourbon that they serve?
Ed Orgeron, I mean, I guess is weird, but he's just him. He's just a Cajun man. Like, that is who was born and raised on gumbo and alligator and speaks French. Like, he is the definition of a Cajun. So yeah, I mean, Les Miles was weird, I guess, the Mad Hatter, like, but he's no weirder than, I mean, is he weirder than Steve? Is he weirder than Steve Spurrier?
He's no Les Miles is no different really than Brian Kelly. Like, Les Miles did quirky things. Brian Kelly is off to a phenomenal start in terms of the quirkiness so far with the weird basketball speech that he gave, or the speech he gave at halftime of the basketball game, in which he was modulating or manipulating his Southern accent.
I think some of it he's trying to be funny. Like, he did go on, he was on TV. Oh, for the bowl game. During the bowl game, he made a comment of, "Oh, I'm from Boston. We don't have accents." And everyone started making fun of him. Like, what do you mean you don't have accents in Boston? Boston has the hardest accent. And I think we all just didn't get that he was kidding. Like, I think he was actually making a joke and not saying that Boston people don't have accents. So I think he's trying to make jokes, and they're just falling flat. And in a way, that was not supposed to be like, I'm the cool guy doing the Madonna Vogue thing across my face. I think he kind of did think it was funny and thinks, okay, well, if people are laughing at me, but I'm getting recruits out of it, then so be it. Like, all publicity is good publicity. Lane Kiffin tweeting me like, "Are you okay, dude? What's going on?" I think he might actually think that's okay.
803-404-6100. The Nerf gun has been shot at me. That means it is time to hit a break here on the program. If you want to see Jen Jensen wandering around with her miniature Nerf gun that she tends to take out and shoot at me, we need to hit a break, pay some bills. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
More of the early game coming up on 107.5 The Game.
The key to doing this job properly, along with somewhat solid English, is staying alert around here, because if you're not alert, you get hit with a Nerf gun. And to stay alert, I have to get a great night of sleep. Not a good night of sleep, a great night of sleep. But with a Sleep Number bed, that is precisely what I get. And you can do the same. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. I put my Sleep Number setting on 45 each and every night. Get a great night of sleep. Wake up rested, refreshed, ready to go. And it all starts with Sleep Number adjustability. And it's time for Sleep Number's ultimate Sleep Number event. Save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed plus special financing. Subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payment required. See sleepnumber.com for details. Right now, you can visit a Sleep Number store, and there's two to choose from. One in Irmo on Harbison Boulevard across from Buffalo Wild Wings. The other in Columbia, Two Notch Road across from Sand Hills Mall. You can visit them on the web as well, sleepnumber.com. Again, every day starts with a great night of sleep, and that's why you need Sleep Number's adjustability right now. Sleep Number's ultimate Sleep Number event, where you can save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed with special financing. But it's for a limited time. So make the switch to Sleep Number today and find out what a great night of sleep is truly like.
107.5 The Game traffic from the Shepherd's Glass Traffic Center. Shepherd's Glass, a true reflection of quality. shepherdsglass.com.
Things picked up on the highways just a little bit. Windsor Lake Boulevard near I-77 working that earlier accident, as well as Piney Grove Road at Broad River Road. 75 will be your high today, warm and breezy. 72 tomorrow, and then the cold front moves through. We should see some rain tomorrow, and then a high of only 52 on Saturday. Right now, though, 55 at 107.5 The Game.
Sponsored by the Ad Council. Attention thrifters. Those awesome finds you get at Goodwill are even awesomer than you realize. Because as a nonprofit, Goodwill uses your purchases to fund job training and more in our neighborhoods. Learn more at goodwill.org. Sponsored by the Ad Council.
QC Kinetics provided amazing pain relief for a former professional baseball player, and you have access to the same life-changing treatments as retired Braves pitcher Jose Alvarez.
I put a lot of stress and strain and work on my
Did you see the video of the soccer game last night? They
Mm-mm.
did a World Cup qualifier in 1 degree St. Paul, Minnesota. Soccer. I don't even know what the Alliance Field? Yeah, outdoor soccer game in St. Paul, Minnesota. Home of Minnesota United FC, which I didn't know was a MLS team. Actually a cool looking stadium though.
Why would we schedule a game there?
I don't know. They were frozen though. Their goalie, I guess, didn't get much action because they won 3-0. Did post a good gif of frozen Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Arrived in Waco 15 minutes prior to tip-off. Wow.
I need to move it around, so we'll just have one more break this hour. But so at the end of this break, you'll get that little doodad rate recap.
At the end of the, oh yeah. No, I'm kind of like that at the middle of the hour. That's fine.
It's a good way to kind of reset.
Yeah.
So yeah, just one more break this hour, and that'll be your other slide as well.
All right, we'll probably do that, and then I'll call for some of that audio, and then maybe we'll do the Olympics at the end of the hour. I got. What is happening in my left ear? I've got some music. In my right ear, I've got Tommy. You got that?
I only have audio on one side though.
Now go down with another. I don't know. That is bizarre. What is on the? If you turn on the what is on the radio? Like
Landed his feet and threw it as far as he could, and Jeffrey went up over everybody to make the catch.
Final score, Cox 30, Huskers 13. That's our old-timey clip of the day, sponsored by Old Timey Meat Market with 3 locations, Lexington, South Congaree, and St. Andrews Road in Irmo.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile. And now, back to the early game on 107.5 The Game. What we're talking about on 107.5 The Game. Sponsored by Love Chevrolet.
It is 7:32 on a Thursday morning, February the 3rd, post-National Signing Day. Uneventful day for South Carolina as it pertained to recruiting, but it was an eventful day in the coaching department for South Carolina. That is one of the things we have been talking about this morning. Shane Beamer meeting with the media yesterday, and he talked about the departures of Eric Kimmery and Connor Shaw, 2 former Gamecock players who obviously are near and dear to a lot of Gamecock fans' hearts. And it was a little bit of a surprise, I think, to see those 2 leave. But yesterday, it was Shane Beamer commenting on both Eric and Connor. Here's what he had to say during his press conference.
We got a lot of people that are choosing to stay here And this wasn't like, Connor and Eric leaving here because they're unhappy. Let me say that again. This 1,000,000,000,000% they are not leaving here because they don't like working here. It wasn't easy decisions, and it was emotional meetings with those guys, and I hate to see them go. And like I said, we got so many great things going on here in this program, and if people didn't enjoy working here, you wouldn't have had the amount of people that we've had on this staff that have turned down jobs throughout the Power Five schools across the country that turned down jobs from those guys to stay here. And I hate to see, two former players walk out of here. But again, it's a situation that it's a better situation they feel like for their families and their lives and careers. And ultimately, I want to support them in any way with that. And I'm sure Connor and Eric will speak about it publicly, but I would imagine they'd have nothing but amazing things to say about this place and how hard it was for them to leave it as well.
As you heard Shane Beamer say that both Connor and Eric Kimmery would speak about it publicly. We have not heard from Eric Kimmery just yet, although we have a feeling we know where he will be going. Is it called the Baylor School, Patrick?
Yeah.
It's called the Baylor School in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and you said it costs $60,000 a year, not $60,000 for 4 years, $60,000 a year to attend.
That is what a quick search has showed me. Yeah.
So
their endowment is $181 million.
It is obviously one of the top private schools in the country. They are trying to build their athletic program up. And for those who are wondering what the connection is, the headmaster who was originally at Hammond with Eric Kimmery is now up at the Baylor School. Kimmery has yet to make any kind of public statement regarding his departure. Connor Shaw, however, did yesterday. Last night, he put up a tweet on Twitter with a video from him. Jen, let's play what Connor Shaw had to say yesterday in regards to his departure from the University of South Carolina.
Good afternoon. So I don't like quotes. I don't like statements because they leave too much room for misinterpretation or skepticism. And I promise you this, there is nothing negative about this transition for anybody. I had the opportunity to speak to our players this morning, and so I'll take the time to address this with everybody else. I've had several very productive and understanding conversations with Coach Beamer and our administration up to this point. And I'll tell you what I told the players this morning. I was hired 2 years ago at Carolina, and we've talked about life beyond football quite a bit. And I shared with them this morning that decisions don't always come easy, but what we learn from this game will help us succeed whenever that transition comes. And I'm excited just for that. There's nothing quite like the game of football, and I will take everything that I learned and every experience and every moment into this new career. This decision to step away from the football program is solely because of the conviction I have that this is the best situation for me and my family. And I promise you this, I'm not going too far. I'll be here in Columbia. I'll still be very close to that football program, continue to support Coach Beamer. Very grateful for what he's done in that football program so far, and very grateful that he kept me on. And those players know that I will continue to be a resource for those guys. I love them, and I love this football program. And I look forward to finding ways to contribute and support through Gamecock Athletics. Forever to thee.
That was Connor Shaw last night on his Twitter account, putting out a video, as you heard him say, instead of just a statement, but putting out a video in regards to his departure from South Carolina. And Patrick, look, you don't like losing a guy like Connor Shaw, who has meant so much to this program, who has been here in the absolute golden years of South Carolina football. But he doesn't recruit. He wasn't coaching. He was he was development of player relations. Was his official title. He worked with the players and certainly had a role within the organization. But right now for South Carolina, it's about getting coaches on the field that can develop. At the end of it, there's a lot of positive vibes. There's a lot of good momentum. But at the end of the day, South Carolina's 7-6. They didn't score a single point against Clemson, and it was ugly. They got blown out of the water against Tennessee, and it was ugly. They were blown out of the water by Georgia. There is still a lot of room for improvement within this football program. And, whether Eric Kimmery would have turned out to be a great college football coach and a phenomenal recruiter, maybe we'll never know. Maybe he'll take another chance at another time in his life. But the bottom line is it is a chance to go out and upgrade your staff and find a guy that a guy with more college experience. I've seen a couple legitimate names thrown around, by the way. I saw a few names that I just quite frankly will say are not legitimate last night, but a couple names that were thrown around. J.C. Sherbert of thebigspur.com. One of those names, Tim Brewster, who has worked a lot in the SEC.
I thought you were saying J.C. Sherbert was one of the
No,
names.
no.
That man knows tight ends.
That would not be. I'm good friends with JC. We'll probably have him on next week. That would not be an upgrade from a coaching standpoint. But
does a lot of film study.
Former Florida tight end coach Tim Brewster, who's been around, has got a track record. Again, this is an opportunity again to maybe enhance your staff. Now we'll see who he hires. You go out and you hire, somebody who doesn't have ties in the Southeast, who hasn't ever recruited. Maybe it's a step backwards, but it is a chance to maybe get another big-time recruiter on the staff, and that's what South Carolina needs to continue to do.
And it's a lot more attractive of a job than it was when Kimmery took the job, and it's also one of the more attractive jobs in the country right now. If you're talking about just tight ends coaches or guys that specialize in tight ends, you have a coach who's going to have a massive leash because Shane Beamer's year one couldn't have gone really any better. A program that's trending way up, and two tight ends that are on tracks to be NFL guys right now. It's probably, I don't know if I could say best because, Darnell Washington, Brock Bowers, and Eric Gilbert, if he ever plays, is a ridiculous.
Nobody knows what's happened to Eric. Yeah. And don't forget Oscar Delp, who's now gone to Georgia.
Right. So a pretty ridiculous tight end room there. But when you're talking about two guys in Stogner and Jaheim Bell, who PFF, who I always cite for a lot of things, put them as number 5 and 8 as the top tight ends in the country. So two top 10 tight ends in the country and a quarterback that can get him the ball. It's going to be a pretty attractive spot to come right now, even if it's a little short-sighted to say, well, I got two guys right now that are going to make me look really good. Either way, it's a good position to be in.
803-404-6100. Certainly that was the big news of yesterday as it pertained to South Carolina football. Again, not much happening on the recruiting trail. The Gamecocks with 2 scholarships remaining, and Shane Beamer did mention this yesterday that what they will he mentioned the same thing, Patrick, we mentioned. You expect the transfer portal to once again explode after spring practice. The month of May is going to certainly be big for high school football recruiting, but the month of May is probably going to be just an absolute circus as players exit spring practice and look around and either didn't move up the depth chart, don't like new coaches, want another opportunity. I would be surprised if we don't see the month of May be essentially a huge round of free agency in college football. You already got basically about the month of December, the month of January. The month of May may actually end up being the month of free agency in college football because teams come out of spring practice and kids look around. You get the early enrollees that come in. Maybe they've enrolled for a few months and they realize this is not where I want to be. I don't like this coaching staff. I don't like this coach. I don't like that. I got a one-time transfer. Let me go ahead and start over somewhere else. I kind of foreshadowing here, but I really feel like the month of May is going to be where the transfer portal is going to explode even more than we've already seen.
But how many that's just going to be the weird thing. I guess there's going to be some teams that are going to say, well, I would really love to get involved in this, but I just can't, right? Because they just don't have the spots. Is that going to be the case?
Well, you may see a situation.
You can keep pushing them back. There's always going to be a way to push
you can enroll kids in August. It's what DQ Smith is going to do. The young man who I guess didn't officially sign. He signed, but he didn't officially sign because I guess he can't. They can't accept his letter of intent until August when he enrolls, so that he counts toward the 2023 class. So if you're doing the numbers on that, South Carolina still with 2 in this class. They save that spot. He will count toward 2024. Those weird recruiting rules that they've got out there. But I say all that because, yeah, you're right. You may see schools look around and say, hey, or colleges look around and go, you know what? I'm going to save 5 spots for the May transfer portal, and we're going to go with it from there. We'll continue talking about this. We'll get in. Patrick has put up the Winter Olympics. It has officially started.
Yeah. USA women's hockey is about to get going.
Oh, I'm fired up now.
We are a wagon in women's hockey.
Yeah, nobody wants to mess with us.
No, absolutely not.
That is more. We got some Winter Olympics. We'll continue discussing this, the South Carolina situation and that transfer portal thing, just as it pertains to South Carolina and the remaining 2 spots. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
This is South Carolina head women's basketball coach Dawn Staley, and you're listening to the home of the Gamecocks, WNKT FM, Eastover, Columbia, 107.5, The Game.
Feels a lot better today. It is still going to be very cold this weekend. It is just that time of year. Matter of fact, as I look at my weather app here on my phone, I think it's going to be cold for the foreseeable future. 51 on Saturday, 51 on Sunday, 51 on Monday. You get the point. Yeah, it's not particularly enjoyable for the next few days. So I hope your heating unit is working at your house. If not, today is the day. You got actually a nice day, so don't wait any longer. Call Roy and Dana Finley with AAA Heating and Air. I'm telling you what, they've taken care of me and my family, and not just because I'm good friends with them, but that's how they treat everyone. They want to treat you like a family member. They want to come and make sure that you and your family are taken care of. So if you've been experiencing any issues with your heating and air unit, today is the day to call AAA Heating and Air. Let them get out to your house. 803-677-1500. That's how you can reach AAA Heating and Air. You need to tell them Bill Gunner sent you. It's $59 for a simple inspection just to make sure everything is working properly. And then after that, if there are issues, if you need to get a brand new unit, everybody worries about the cost, but at AAA Heating and Air, since they treat you like family, they're going to stand by that. They'll offer you a $1,500 rebate to buy back your old unit and then work with you on a brand new unit. If you qualify, 0 money down, no % financing on a brand new unit, and a 15-year parts and labor warranty to make sure that unit continues to work. 803-677-1500. That's the phone number to reach AAA Heating and Air. Call them today and tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Who's watching the Melvin children if Lindsay Zarniak's in Beijing and Craig is in D.C.? That's Lindsay Zarniak. Yeah. Look at the words. It clearly says Beijing. I don't think I would want to go. Because there's no fans. I would want to go to the Olympics for sure, but I think everything has to be taped delayed, doesn't it? What time is it in Beijing? What time is it in Beijing? It's 8:46 p.m. I don't know. Tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. No, that sounds right. Tomorrow at 6:30 a.m. would be 7:30 p.m. Beijing time. So that probably is live. Yeah, it has to be live.
Is that true? Summer Olympics has 28 different sports and winter only has 15?
Yeah, I know it's not remotely close. Summer Olympics are way bigger.
the Beijing Winter Olympics opening ceremony starts at 8 p.m. local time in China. So does that mean again it's going on now? Apparently, I somehow ended up in an. Oh, good. The Wall Street Journal's got me taken care of. I don't have my password on this one. Oh, I'm getting this.
Okay, that's okay. Why don't we say this group first?
Thank you. Thought that was the fire alarm. Wasn't sure. 803-404-6100. Patrick Perrett, Jen Jensen, as we roll along on a Thursday morning. Want to let you know the 2022 1075 The Game Spring Golf Tournament. It's called the Spring Open. Is Friday, March 18th at the Windermere Club in Blythewood. It is a 10 a.m. shotgun start. This time it'll be two-person teams. $200 per team, two-person captain's choice. Let me repeat that. 10 a.m. shotgun start, two-person teams, $200 per team, and it's a two-person captain's choice. We'll have great raffle prizes, closest to the pin, $1 million hole, sponsored by Buford Lending, plus breakfast and lunch. All entries get a free golf membership until March 31st. You can head to 1075thegame.com for registration info. Again, it is the 2022 1075 The Game Spring Open, Friday, March 18th at the Windermere Club in Blythewood. Again, it'll be a 10 a.m. shotgun start, two-person teams, $200 per team, in a two-person captain's choice format. So make sure you go to 1075thegame.com for registration information. Again, it is the 2022 1075 The Game Spring Open, held March 18th at the Windermere Club, and that'll be a Friday as well. You can go to 1075thegame.com for registration information. Coming up during the break, if you go to our Buford Lending live stream, we're going to have a special giveaway. We'll do the giveaway here later, but if you go to the Buford Lending live stream, we will have a special giveaway for a contest we are having here on the station. You can go to youtube.com, search 1075thegame.com. Click and subscribe. You can also follow along on Facebook, or you can go to my Twitter account at Will, W-I-L Gunter, G-U-N-T-E-R. You can watch any of those ways, but if you go to the Buford Lending live stream here in the next 3 to 4 minutes, you can go to the 1075 The Game Facebook page. You can go to Twitter. You can go to 1075 The Game's Twitter account. You can go to my Twitter account at Will, W-I-L Gunter, G-U-N-T-E-R, and you can watch along. We'll make an announcement on the Buford Lending live stream for an opportunity to win a little bit of a contest we've got going on regarding our big game board for the Super Bowl and potentially a pair of tickets to the Elton John concert at Colonial Life Arena on April 20th. Just go to the Buford Lending live stream now. We will make that announcement in just a minute on how you can be part of this contest. So a little prize if you're part of the Buford Lending live stream. If you've ever gone and participated, now would be the time this morning to hop back on. In about 3 minutes, we will make a little announcement there. So a lot going on. The Beijing Winter Olympics have gotten going. Patrick, you seem pretty fired up.
I'm pumped. Only 16 minutes till U.S. women's ice hockey team kicks off their Olympic campaign. Defense of a gold medal. Trying to repeat.
Okay. So you've got all that going on. We will get back into the college football news from yesterday. And it is the start of NASCAR season. We will be joined by Carrie Tharp, Darlington Raceway president, coming up at 8:45 this morning. A lot going on. Head on over to that Buford Lending live stream. We got something special for you going on there. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
How much for you to try that? I don't think you would die. You would get hurt.
Oh, I'd get hurt severely. We were watching. All right, we will do a special giveaway here in about 2 minutes.
$20,000. Would you do it?
20,000?
Yeah.
Well, it depends. Is that covering my medical bills?
Yeah. No. Just assume everything's covered. 10 grand. Would you do it?
Let's see here. Hold on.
Whoa, this is cool. They're doing a show on the ice right now. This is really cool.
All right, we're gonna do this giveaway just a second.
Trey, are you watching the ice? Oh, the light show on the ice right now? Yeah, it's okay.
All right, let's see here. You ready, Jen? Yep. All right. So what we're going to do is we are going to give away a spot. We're going to give away 4 spots. So you call 803-404-6100.
8 spots.
We're going to give away 4 here. I got to give away 4 on the radio. Give away 4 on the radio this hour.
Jen was showing 8 hands to you.
Yeah. So here you go. Here's your opportunity. Call now, 803-404-6100. First 4 callers win a spot on our big game board. Your spot will be posted on Facebook or Twitter. Misspelled Twitter. But call now. Hold tight if you don't get through instantly because Jen's got to take the phone calls. But call now. You can win a spot, 803-404-6100, and you can win a spot on our big game board, 803-404-6100. It's a prizes part of our big game Super Bowl board. Prizes are a pair of tickets to Elton John at Colonial Life Arena on April 20th. You could potentially win a pair of tickets to the Red Hot Chili Peppers at Bank of America Stadium on September 1st, maybe a 3-night stay at Kiowa Island. It is a spot on our big game board for the Super Bowl, 803-404-6100. If you call now, just Jen will get to you. Jen will get to you, and keep calling. We need name, phone number, email, all that stuff. So you call now, Got a couple of y'all calling in, so keep calling in. 803-404-6100. First 4 callers win a spot on the big game board. Again, we will post. Your spot will be posted on Facebook. I misspelled Facebook, too. I put an extra
They get it.
O in it.
They get it. The callers are coming right now. You can see
All right. Yep. There you go.
Lining them up.
Keep calling. There we go. We got 803-404-6100.
If you haven't called yet, and if you haven't called yet, you're probably not getting them.
Go ahead and try and call now. The lines are getting busy. They're picking up. You can weigh in that way.
All right. Stop encouraging them. Just call again if you didn't get through.
Yep.
Nobody
keep
else.
calling. All right.
Don't tell them to keep calling.
Well, no, you never know. You might win.
They're not going to win. I see the lines. They're
She's already got 4 on hold. All right.
Yeah.
Excellent work, everybody.
And SportsCenter is showing the video of Brian Kelly saying, with the headline, tight end Danny Lewis commits to Alabama. Oh, man. Sure, you got a scouting report on Finland?
We got one more spot. So if somebody wants to call,
All right, one more spot.
404-6100.
Yeah. 803-404-6100. You call right now.
Yep. One more.
There it is. All right. That's it.
We got it.
With someone more interesting. And producer extraordinaire, Jen Jensen. It's time for the early game, where the bacon is always prepared properly.
My grand slam was supposed to be with sausage.
On 107.5, The Game.
Final hour of the Thursday episode. We have officially got the Beijing Olympics going on here in studio. Patrick's fired up for some women's hockey that is about to take place. Who are we playing?
Finland.
Finland, America, USA. Good old USA taking on Finland. We don't have our American flags out, so we're kind of letting everybody down there. We really should have gotten those, but that's all right. So you've got some Winter Olympics going on this really throughout the day. I think we were just looking. The official opening ceremony, I guess, happens tomorrow. It'll be going on during our show,
yeah.
and then you can rewatch it tomorrow night. Other sports happening today or starting today, a golf tournament that I always thoroughly enjoy. It's kind of interesting because you've got an international golf tournament going on as well that is taking some of the players, but Pebble Beach gets going. The AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am starting today. Daniel Berger, the defending champion, has actually had to pull out of the tournament, but should be a lot of fun over there. Again, to me, Patrick, little signs. I take little signs that spring is around the corner. Today will be a little bit warmer. It'll be kind of nice. But then we go back into a cold snap starting on Saturday. And then you and I during the break, we're looking at the weather for next week. And you were mentioning you hope winter is coming to a close, even though that groundhog yesterday saw 6 more weeks of winter. But the bottom line is, like, Pebble Beach, the AT&T Pro-Am there, the AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am, is always something that I kind of look to as an official start to spring. It really, to me, kind of kicks off golf season. We've had the Sony Open. You've had the Farmers Insurance. You've had some good tournaments, and I know you're not a golf guy, but I don't know if you've got something that starts to yell to you. Maybe it was what happened on Monday when you were excited, the official start to draft season for you, NFL draft season.
Nope. You know what else Saturday is?
What else Saturday is? Well, we've already started lacrosse season, right?
Nope, not yet.
Saturday is the official start to lacrosse season?
Yep. I guess technically Friday night, Duke will play Robert Morris and kick off the season. But yeah, Saturday we've got a full slate. Maryland's playing High Point. Ohio State's playing Detroit Mercy. Johns Hopkins playing Jacksonville. There's some fun matchups. So no, I will probably be watching. It's kind of hard to watch these early games because they're not going to be on ESPN yet. So I'm gonna have to find web streams, and hopefully most of them will be on ESPN Plus. But yeah, lacrosse season. It's now noon to 7 every day. Every Saturday I'm gonna be plugged into lacrosse.
So
I cannot wait.
I'll be into some golf this week. Patrick will be into some lacrosse as we move into the month of February.
I think it's my favorite sport to watch on TV.
Really?
I honestly might. I don't know. I have so much fun just watching college lacrosse for 6 hours. I don't know why. I mean, I do know why because I played it and I love it, but it's so much more entertaining than watching. I would much rather watch a Maryland lacrosse game than a South Carolina basketball game.
Okay, so there is that. So we've got that going on. Speaking of South Carolina basketball, they will be back on the court Saturday against Tennessee, 1 o'clock CBS start time there for the Gamecocks at Colonial Life Arena. Obviously, 2 nights ago, or Tuesday night, I should say, they lost on the road against Mississippi State, 78-64. They will be back in the friendly confines of Colonial Life Arena this coming Saturday in a game that really, to kind of keep the season going, Patrick, you never say never on anything, but you look at the schedule coming down the stretch. Tennessee is ranked. Kentucky's a top 5 team. Auburn is number 1 in the rankings. LSU is still on the schedule, and they were ranked. The remainder of Alabama is on the schedule, and they're really good. Mississippi State's there, and you just lost to them by 14. Again, never say never because who knows? But the bottom line is, if you're looking for a big game there, South Carolina really, really needs to win Saturday's basketball game against Tennessee at Colonial Life Arena.
Yeah, I mean, like you just said, they really need to win for what?
You know, if they fall to 4, you get to 4 and you get to 5 and you get to 5 and 5, you keep the hopes alive of working yourself onto the bubble late. I don't know. It's kind of interesting in terms of normally in most years I can pinpoint a number, say like 10 is the number of SEC wins you've got to have, which would be really difficult given that they're sitting at 4 and 5 now with 9 games left. And you'd go, okay, you got to go 6 and 3 down the stretch to get to 10 and 8. Normally, most years I can pinpoint a number for South Carolina basketball or for a conference team. The SEC is pretty good this year. You're going to get a little bit of a boost from strength of schedule. And if you went 6 and 3 to close out, it would put you on the bubble. It depends on what 6 wins those are. You can't lose to kind of like you need to beat Kentucky or you need to beat, say, an LSU or really a Tennessee. You also can't lose to Missouri. You can't lose. You can't have 2 of the losses beat a Missouri and Georgia. Those would be extremely ugly losses, given they're the 2 worst teams in the SEC. But South Carolina on Saturday, that will be a really big one.
There's just no evidence from this season that would make anyone believe that that's going to happen. So are people saying, let's just keep winning some of these games and then make sure we get in the NIT? Like, do people want to be in the NIT?
You definitely want to be in some kind of postseason.
I mean, is it like the bowl game talk where, okay, it's more important because you get extra time to practice and it's just more basketball? Like, fans are not going to watch the NIT games, are they?
I don't know. It's been a long time since South Carolina had NIT games.
Don't people hate the banners?
Yeah, but I think those banners represent missed opportunities because of how well those teams played.
Right.
The first one was fun. The first NIT run under Dave Odom was a lot of fun. South Carolina fans really got invested in that team, in that run. It was neat to watch. The second one was Debbie Downer because South Carolina beat what would end up being the national champion Florida Gators twice that year and then lost to them. Trey Kelly rimmed out a 3-pointer at the buzzer, and they lost, I believe, 50-49. In the SEC tournament championship game. Like going into the SEC tournament, the second year of that particular run, South Carolina wasn't very good, but they get hot. They go all the way to championship Sunday. They play Florida. They've got Florida beaten. They give up a basket late, and Trey Kelly has a three-pointer, has a good look from the top of the key that doesn't go down. And South Carolina kind of goes into the NIT, and they'd already made the run the year prior, and you had a lot of players that were going to graduate, and boom, South Carolina gets hot again and rolls through the NIT. And it was neat. It was fun to watch, but it was also kind of a letdown because the year prior you had been in the NIT and you had won it. You're supposed to use the NIT as a springboard to bigger and better things. You mentioned the practice time. I don't know if that's really relevant in basketball because you find out on Sunday night if you're going to the NIT. Usually you turn around and play on Tuesday or Wednesday, and so the turnaround is pretty quick. So it would be something here to maybe keep you entertained, but I'm not sure how much people would really get invested.
All right. We just got probably the angriest text of all time. Patrick, how about you F off with your blasé basketball talk? We just heard you say you like lacrosse more, so we don't need your comment. All right, I'm done. South Carolina's not making the NCAA tournament. Next.
Well, and then anonymous texter says, why do we go through this talk every year? The end result is no tournament. So
don't fans hate the NIT banners? No. Well, I've heard people complain about the NIT banners. So that's not just my opinion. I don't really care. I mean, I grew up a Maryland fan, and no one cared about the NIT because you expected to be in the NCAA tournament every year because that's a basketball school. After South Carolina made a Final Four, and it was the best experience of my life, I'm pretty sure that people aren't going to be content to make the NIT.
Yeah, and then just a couple of y'all weighing in. Justin says, valiant effort, Bill. Can't find one person who's involved in basketball season any longer. There's zero chance of an NCAA tournament. The word bubble is laughably ignorant. Look, crazier things have happened. Crazy. It's all I'm trying to sell you on is that crazier things have happened.
I think Jay hates lacrosse. So. I think that's just what it comes down to.
803-404-6100. So there's just a little bit of discussion on that tonight. To change the subject just a tad, tonight the South Carolina women take on Alabama 7:00 at Colonial Life Arena. They will be off this weekend before traveling to Kentucky next Thursday night. So Dawn Staley and South Carolina hosting Alabama tonight at Colonial Life Arena 7:00. You can hear that right here on 107.5 The Game. Back to the football discussion as it pertains to South Carolina yesterday. Certainly the interesting part is that the two coaches that left have ties. You would agree with me if Connor Shaw had no ties to South Carolina, if Eric Kimmery had no ties to South Carolina, this would be a complete non-story essentially as to what occurred at South Carolina. It would just be, hey, matter of fact, the story would be, hey, South Carolina lost an own-the-field coach. They had 1 year of experience as a college coach, and now they've got to go find a new tight ends coach.
Or if their offensive coordinator had a high approval rating. Like that's a part that ties into it is people are concerned because it's an offense coordinator that they weren't really happy with, had a monster last game, and people are kind of like, okay, well, I guess we'll talk ourselves back into it. Maybe that was the start of something new. But then when you factor in, okay, well, now a guy who's a lifelong Columbia resident, was a Gamecock, has said that this was his dream job, is done after 1 year. Like, what does it really mean? And I mean, there's clearly I think the response to this, without much information, pretty much indicates the level of optimist or pessimist that someone is, because people are saying, well, this is a disaster. You just lost 2 Gamecocks in 1 day. And some people are like, hey, no big deal. We'll get a good tight ends coach. Kimmery came from the high school ranks. He clearly loves it. It's a good opportunity for his family. Connor Shaw is still going to be here. Like, you can look at it in a positive or negative way. Like, I don't really know what to make of it, but if this is the start of other departures, then you start to get concerned. But it's one on-field coach and it's one, whatever you want to call it, administrative coach. I mean, there's nothing really to connect either of those. And Connor Shaw, I guess, will still be living in Columbia based off
Sounds like it.
So he'll still be around. He'll still be part of the program. You'll see him at games, and I'm sure he'll still be in the building. So as far as just his doing it as a employee of the university, that's done. I don't know what kind of money he was making anyway. If I assume he'll be making more money now. It's usually what drives people to make career changes. But the Kimmery thing's a different story altogether.
Yeah, and this is not a put down to any tight ends coach out there, but I've had this discussion back when I was doing college football recruiting as it pertains to recruiting, as when I was working with ESPN. What is the least – they're all important. So mind, I'm not putting down any job, but what is the least important job when it comes to college football, the on the field college football coaching jobs? Because I remember sitting having lunch one afternoon with a couple college football coaches, college assistants, and we were kind of discussing this. And it was more of like, and it came down to two positions. It came down to two positions are the least important. Or I should say they use least important just because you want a recruiter in that position. You want someone whose focus is more on recruiting players than it is almost developing, because that position kind of coaches itself. Running back was number one. And the reason is like, look, if you don't have ball security, if you don't have speed, if you don't have vision, it's really hard to teach that at the collegiate level. Like, it's just
it's a very instinctive position, which is also why there's the highest success rate or instant impact for rookie running backs.
Right.
Like, you see the hole, you make a play, and you just let your instincts do the work.
And so it was an interesting conversation in terms of, like, when you talk about being able to upgrade with a recruiter, not with a guy who can go out and necessarily like make great tight ends. Like, Jaheim Bell is just a great athlete, and I'm not trying to take away from Eric Kimmery maybe coaching him up this year, but Jaheim Bell's a really good athlete. Austin Stogner is going to be a really good athlete. So I bring this up because tight end was the other position where most assistant coaches said, if I was ever a head coach, I need great recruiters at that position. Not saying Eric Kimmery was a bad recruiter, but this is an opportunity to go out and hire somebody who can make a dent on the recruiting trail, not just in recruiting tight ends, but getting your foot in the door with other prospects. We saw Pete Limbo be a big part of landing Ryan Brubaker in this recruiting class. Pete Limbo's not an offensive line coach. He got his foot in the door, and Greg Atkins was able to go in and make the impression and really close the deal.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm sure Kimmery is a good recruiter in terms of when he gets in a room, talking to people and making them feel comfortable. But yeah, you have a chance to get someone who has relationships in certain areas or has just been in the college game for a long time. Like, Kimmery was brand new to the college game. So that just is what it is. You can get someone with experience. And I only heard you mention one name that you saw teased as the coach. I mean, I'm not going to know who the tight end coaches around the country are or who's a great tight end coach. Like, that's the thing. People will text us and say, who's going to replace him? Like, I have no idea. You ask about head coach candidates, we'll know the names. Ask about coordinators, we'll probably know the names. But I couldn't name you a single tight ends coach probably in the whole country.
No, and that's the point, is that South Carolina, if this was let's just use Pat Washington, who was the previous tight ends coach, who I think had really no ties to South Carolina. Bobby Bentley then was a tight ends coach for a little while and moved. I think Bentley was running backs coach and then moved to tight end coach when Pat Washington left under Will Muschamp. Nobody cared.
Right.
I was like, all right, well, okay, move Bentley into the position. We were talking about putting Connor Shaw as tight ends coach when Shane Beamer first came, and what knowledge does he really have? Eric Kimmery,
he threw to tight ends.
Yeah, Eric Kimmery wasn't necessarily a tight ends coach.
He played quarterback.
Yeah, and so and his mindset was as a very good offensive play caller at Hammond. So, point being on that is, we'll see how it transpires. What Shane Beamer does. He did mention yesterday that spring practice will get started March 16th. So between now and then, he will go out looking for a tight end coach. But I would imagine he's already got a list, 3 or 4 names. And the fact that he said yesterday he's been speaking with Eric Kimmery for 2.5 weeks on this, I would imagine Shane Beamer has made a few calls, text messages to see what the interest level is.
I guess he's got relationships with tight ends all over the country. He's in the fraternity of tight end coaches. So just call up some people he knew from his days at Oklahoma.
That's true. 803-404-6100 is how you can join us. Yesterday, Shane Beamer did speak to the media. We've got a little bit of audio from that. Here is Shane Beamer yesterday in talking about Eric Kimmery and Connor Shaw's departure from the program. A lot of people had asked if maybe it had something to do with some bad feelings on the offensive staff. Here's what Shane Beamer had to say in relation to Eric Kimmery and Connor Shaw leaving the program.
We got a lot of people that are choosing to stay here, and this wasn't like, Connor and Eric leaving here because they're unhappy. Let me say that again. This 1 trillion%, they are not leaving here because they don't like working here. It wasn't easy decisions, and it was emotional meetings with those guys, and I hate to see them go. And like I said, we got so many great things going on here in this program, and if people didn't enjoy working here, you wouldn't have had the amount of people that we've had on this staff that have turned down jobs throughout the Power Five schools across the country that turned down jobs from those guys to stay here. And I hate to see, two former players walk out of here. But again, it's a situation that it's a better situation they feel like for their families and their lives and careers. And ultimately I want to support them in any way with that. And I'm sure Connor and Eric will speak about it publicly, but I would imagine they'd have nothing but amazing things to say about this place and how hard it was for them to leave it as well.
There is audio from Shane Beamer yesterday speaking to the media, and you heard him mention that probably we would hear from Connor Shaw and Eric Kimmery at a later date. Jen, here is what Connor Shaw put out last night on Twitter talking about him departing the University of South Carolina.
Good afternoon. So I don't like quotes. I don't like statements because they leave too much room for misinterpretation or skepticism. And I promise you this, there's nothing negative about this transition for anybody. I had the opportunity to speak to our players this morning, and so I'll take the time to address this with everybody else. I've had several very productive and understanding conversations with Coach Beamer and our administration up to this point. And I'll tell you what I told the players this morning. I was hired 2 years ago at Carolina, and we've talked about life beyond football quite a bit. And I shared with them this morning that decisions don't always come easy, but what we learn from this game will help us succeed whenever that transition comes. And I'm excited just for that. There's nothing quite like the game of football, and I will take everything that I learned in every experience and every moment into this new career. This decision to step away from the football program is solely because of the conviction I have that this is the best situation for me and my family. And I promise you this, I'm not going too far. I'll be here in Columbia. I'll still be very close to that football program, continue to support Coach Beamer. Very grateful for what he's done in that football program so far, and very grateful that he kept me on. And those players know that I will continue to be a resource for those guys. I love them, and I love this football program. And I look forward to finding ways to contribute and support through Gamecock Athletics. Forever to thee.
There is Shane Beamer talking about Eric Kimmery and Connor Shaw. There was Connor Shaw talking about his departure from the University of South Carolina. So a lot there happening for the Gamecocks yesterday. We'll get back into some NFL news as where do the Minnesota Vikings go from here? There is a name out there. Get your take on that. An offensive coordinator.
Former Commanders coach.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy. So we'll get back.
Like every head coach in the NFL. Former Commanders assistant coach.
So he's got good pedigree.
Yeah.
We'll get back into the little bit of NFL discussion as we roll along. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
107.5 The Game is omnipresent and free of charge. Free of charge. In your car. Free of charge. Online. Free of charge. On the app and streaming on your smart speaker. Free of charge. 107.5 The Game.
If you've been suffering from chronic joint pain, you don't need to assume that steroid shots, pain pills, or surgery are your only options. Right now, you can get real, lasting, life-changing relief from QC Kinetics. You just need to give them a phone call today for a free consultation. 803-281-6860. Finally, there is a new, different, highly successful approach to dealing with joint pain. You can find out with a free consultation today. You need to take advantage of this incredible new opportunity with QC Kinetics. The phone number to make that phone call, 803-281-6860. No surgery, no drugs, and most importantly, no downtime. Advanced, unique treatments using natural biologic agents, mostly from your own body. These powerful, highly concentrated growth factors are put directly into your affected joints, and they're going to soothe inflammation and restore damaged tissue. It is truly a regenerative treatment. So don't miss a great opportunity. If you've been suffering from pain and you're ready to get your quality of life back in 2022, call QC Kinetics today for a free consultation. And remember what I just said, it's a free consultation. You can find out what they are going to do and how it will help you. 803-281-6860. If you're suffering from knee and back pain, shoulder pain, hip pain, you can get moving again. Call QC Kinetics today. 803-281-6860.
What does this mean? Labeling Shaw a job hopper?
Yeah, that people were just because
not
he had
good.
bounced around so much because he took a job at Furman and then bounced out of a job at Furman, and then I did see that yesterday because
But what is? I mean, a lot. Is that an insult? He's not going to another coaching job.
I think what they were saying is like they were trying to explain why him leaving, like as not as like there was any issues. It's just he doesn't know what he wants to do in life.
Yeah.
Like,
So, is Kimmery a job hopper? He's had 3 jobs in 3 years now. People take better opportunities or get different
you
jobs.
got a Finnish player down. She looks down.
Not yet, but that's who they're targeting apparently. Two texts. I thought I liked Joey from Sumter at first. Now he's my enemy. Now I despise him.
2 texts.
Yeah, because the first one he agreed with me about Hugh Jackson, and then the second one he said, "Get a job in Maryland, D-bag." Okay.
Pittsburgh fan.
Pittsburgh fan?
That's what I'm scrolling back through.
Yeah. Just 2 people really took offense to me saying how much I enjoy watching college lacrosse. I played college lacrosse. If anyone gets offended by me wanting to watch that more than anything else, it's a personal problem. Thank you, Anthony.
I do like going back and reading now that this text message is getting like 2 years old.
Yeah, we can go way back. Really get the vibe of someone.
Did she break her leg?
I've still never responded to anyone on the text line, though. If it was my own personal text line, I would respond. But
Get to this guy, and when I take this phone call, I'll tell people to call in, and then we'll get to that phone call. Then while he's on, I don't know, you should be able to cut him off just without having to do much, like whatever, and then you can take the phone call to the break and be done. Oh, then we'll get Carrie. So honestly, though, this has got to be a real short segment to get carried by like 42, 43, right? The next one is. All right, so this will be a quick one, and we'll get him.
Yeah, I think substantially, probably, Craig. It costs like twice what USC costs. But yeah, I agree. But I do I'm pretty argumentative by nature, so I do like getting arguments with people that say things. I just can't respond to the text line because everybody gets to read the text, and I don't want Jay and Heath and Pearson looking through the text line later being like, why is Patrick cussing at our listeners? This wouldn't be a good look. I do like arguments. SC State, 24 players yesterday. Was a big signing day for some people. Not here, unfortunately. Sorry, the MLL doesn't exist anymore. I hate to be the bearer of bad news. They were purchased by the PLL. We had a merger, big merger last year. They only kept the Cannons. Yeah, we did have someone get stretchered off here in the hockey game. Just 10 minutes in, not a good start.
$8:28 on a Thursday morning, February the 3rd. Bill Gunner, Patrick Perrette, Jen Jensen. We have talked a lot this morning about National Signing Day from yesterday, although the news for South Carolina didn't really pertain to signing day. It was more of news about Eric Kimmery and Connor Shaw leaving the football program, but there were things that happened on signing day. South Carolina finishes, according to the 24/7 Sports composite rankings, with the 26th ranked class overall. Several of y'all have hit us up and pointed out that 24/7 Sports has a ranking that you can use where it's both composite, or it's both high school and transfers. Patrick has tried to figure that out. I've glanced at it. The analytics and I guess the numbers on that just flat don't add up, Patrick, is what you came to. So we're not sure that they are doing those metrics correctly. But South Carolina with the 7th best recruiting class in the transfer portal, obviously highlighted by Spencer Rattler and Austin Stogner. So that's been a lot of what we've been discussing this morning. If you want to be a part of the program, 803-404-6100 is how you can do that. We also need to tell you that Tommy and Jay will be broadcasting live from 12 until 3 p.m. Friday afternoon at Cove to Coast, located at 181 Pontiac Business Center in Elgin. Again, Cove to Coast, 181 Pontiac Business Center in Elgin. That's where you can go visit Tommy Moody, the one and only Tommy Moody. Take your baseball questions to him. He loves it. Jay Phillips, take your favorite fish songs to him. He loves it. They'll be broadcasting live from 12 until 3 on Friday afternoon. You can visit the Cove to Coast Boat Show this Friday through Sunday at their Elgin location. They'll have all your favorite boats in stock, ranging from Sea Pro, Tahoe, Avalon, Sylvan, and Mastercraft. I'm telling you what, those Tahoes, Patrick, they not only a great car, phenomenal boat, pontoon boat.
Good lake, too.
Very good lake. Visit Cove to Coast Boat Show this Friday through Sunday at their Elgin location. They'll check out all their incredible boat lines. Again, 803-404-6100, how you can join us. Super Bowl coming up in a little over a week. It'll be our first weekend without real football. Pro Bowl does not count. And here at 107.5 The Game, we have got our big game board. You can win a spot on it right now. We'll take the first 4 callers. We've already had a few people off of the live stream win. So if you want to weigh in and get a spot on our big game board, 803-404-6100. We'll post your spot on Facebook or Twitter on Sunday morning before the big game. You can win multiple prizes. Multiple prizes will be out there if you get a spot on our big board. One could be a pair of tickets to Elton John at Colonial Life Arena on April 20th. You could also win a pair of tickets to Red Hot Chili Peppers at Bank of America Stadium in September, maybe a 3-night stay at Kiowa Island. Right now, 803-404-6100. Give us a call. Be patient. Jen's got to get some information from you, so we will get to that. Let's get out to the Love Chevy phone lines. Mike has waited patiently to talk about the transfer portal and scholarships. How you doing this morning, Mike?
I'm good, brother. How are you doing?
Doing great.
Good. Well, I had a question for you. I was watching ESPN yesterday, and I believe they were interviewing Lincoln Riley. And, of course, he was talking about the transfer portal. And he made a comment. He said that one of the big concerns is that there were 500 scholarship athletes that hit the portal and now do not have scholarships. So my first question is, why are so many kids hitting this portal? Why are they not able to get a scholarship elsewhere? I guess is my first question. Is it just because the schools that they're looking to go to or picking them up just don't have those scholarships to offer? Or is it because of, you have the freshman class coming in and the scholarships are just being taken up by the freshmen? It
Yeah.
seems like the math is off, if that makes sense.
No, I mean, you think about the number of recruitable high school athletes that are out there, whether it's a 2-star or a 5-star, whatever you want to do with your recruiting rankings. But I mean, you think about, Mike, the number of recruitable prospects that are out there, and I think every school has its own way. Every coaching staff will have, Patrick, its own way of doing things. We've talked about how Michigan State and Arkansas built their programs this past season kind of through the transfer portal with key additions. You know, you got a school like Alabama who's still taking a lot of the elite 5-stars. Mike, to answer your question, I think it works both ways. I've talked to some high school coaches who have very good prospects, and as they said in years past, that prospect, say, might have gotten an offer late in the process to a South Carolina or to, say, like a Georgia Tech or, you know, again, right now, let's go with a program that's 500 to sub 500, and that school says, okay, I can get in on this prospect late and take them as a kind of project. You can go to the transfer portal right now and pick up a guy from like Central Michigan, like Devonnie Reed, who's got 1 year of eligibility left. Now, on the flip side of that, maybe a school wants to take high school prospects and try and work with them over the course of their career and build them into something bigger and better. And then that kid who's transferred from, say, in Arkansas, thinking that maybe he was going to get a bigger, better offer, the opportunity's not there.
That makes sense. Well, let me ask you another quick question. And Heath was trying to explain this to me. So my understanding is when a kid can actually hit the transfer portal, let's say it's a freshman that comes in and something happens, maybe the coaching staff changes, whatever. After week 1, this kid says, you know what, this isn't working out. I'm not going to get any playing time. My understanding is that kid can hit that transfer portal after the first week once football starts. Is that correct?
Yeah, once they're on camp. I mean, hypothetically, Patrick, and thank you for the phone call, Mike. But I mean, hypothetically, what is it? South Carolina, I think, had 7. Well, they had early in terms of high school early enrollees. I think they were in the ballpark of 6 or 7, not counting the transfers. But a guy like, let's just use Braden Davis because he might be the most high profile early enrollee for South Carolina, given that he was a high school recruit.
Right.
He could hit the transfer portal now. If you were like, once you're on campus, it's open season there. You don't even have to wait till the first week of the high school of the college football season.
Why would you? I mean, it's one time. Use it whenever you want.
Right.
But the 500. Yeah, go ahead.
But what happens to your scholarship? So let's say this kid is, like you said, week 1, we bring him in on scholarship, and he says, well, I'm going to hit the portal. I'm out of here. Well, I mean, South Carolina, have they not fronted that player a scholarship for that year? And what happens to that scholarship? I would think if you're going to hit it week 1, I mean, do you still get that scholarship?
So, what do you mean the player like actually being able to use the scholarship?
Yes, sir, correct. So let's say he comes in and how's that work?
Well, it's you do have a binding agreement. I mean, it's a contract of a 1-year scholarship. So to answer your question, yeah, I would assume that player, I don't think you make it null and void. To your point, there's players that have entered the transfer portal. I think the case that we used here in South Carolina was I think it was the second baseman. Somebody could correct me from the Citadel, I think, who entered the transfer portal last year in 2021, entered the transfer portal, but then continued to play for the Citadel, even though he was in the transfer portal. I mean, Jason Brown hypothetically could have been in the transfer portal for South Carolina and played in the bowl game and then selected his destination. So I think that scholarship is good for the length of that 1-year contract that you've got. And he can utilize it. Now, does he want to do that, or does he want to go find a fresh start somewhere else and get moving on the next side of his career? Jordan Rhodes, the offensive lineman from South Carolina, who back in August transferred out, went to Mississippi, got on campus because of the free transfer rule, got on campus and was able to start 3 games this year.
Gotcha. Well, I appreciate you cleaning that up. It's pretty confusing when, because they can seem to hit it whenever they want to. I mean, hopefully they'll fix that, and I think they should at least have that 1-year commitment, and maybe they'll work on kind of trying to narrow that down when they can hit the portal.
Agree. Yeah. Thank you for the phone call there, Mike.
It is interesting that there's going to be kids, as someone who is just being destroyed by student debt, it is kind of crazy that there are going to be kids that are on full scholarship saying, yeah, I'm transferring, and then not getting an offer. And next thing they know, they have to go to a D3 school and take out a loan because they decided to transfer. Like, that's going to happen, right?
Potentially.
Because you can't, there's no guarantee. There's kids transferring from low-level D1 schools that are just not gonna get an offer from a D1 school, and all of a sudden, "Oh, I just went from free college. I thought I was gonna go to a place where I could play more, and all of a sudden, now I have to pay for college."
Yeah, I mean, what is it? South Carolina landed, as Shane Beamer called him yesterday, Juice Wells from James Madison, an FCS program. He's coming up a level. I mean, I guess you look at that's one less spot at the FBS level. I know it's
But
132 teams times
if
85.
you're not playing at James Madison or on the bench at James Madison and you don't have any film and you think you're gonna transfer and go play somewhere else,
Yeah,
not a lock.
Might be heading down a level as well. So yeah, thank you for the phone call, Mike. And again, a lot to take in and digest there as it pertains to the transfer portal and scholarship numbers. As a matter of fact, anonymous texter hits me up. It says multiple classes of players getting an extra year due to COVID has created a bottleneck of eligible players to choose from with only so many scholarships to offer.
That's gonna last for
Oh, the word is they're going to 85 in August. You got to be at 85, and I think South Carolina's at 98 right now.
No, but the bottleneck is gonna be
All right.
those effects are gonna linger for years.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's something certainly, and maybe
Because there's still freshmen, I mean, that have been in college for 2 years, so it's gonna be at least 4 to 5 years before we're fully past all that.
right. And who knows? For all we know, what you end up getting there is parity in college football, which I think we would all really like to see. 803-404-6100 if you want to weigh in on the text line. Coming up next, we catch up with our good buddy Kerry Tharp. Kerry Tharp of Darlington Raceway will join us for his weekly NASCAR segment. So if you want to weigh in, you can hit us up on the text line, but we will be moving on to Kerry Tharp to talk a little Darlington and NASCAR as we get going with the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum this coming weekend, 6 p.m. on Sunday. I know Jen is fired up. She's all fired up about the new car, and we're going to speak with Kerry Tharp as well to discuss his thoughts on the upcoming season and what's going on. You're listening to the early game on 107.5 The Game.
More of the early game coming up on 107.5 The Game.
That time of year where you start planning vacations, maybe a spring trip during spring break, maybe a summer vacation. And if you're doing that, one of the things you start thinking about is how you're going to get there. A new vehicle is a great way to do it. And at Love Chevrolet, you can go purchase a new vehicle and not break the bank, still have money for that vacation coming up. Why, you ask? Because at Love Chevrolet, they continue to take care of their customers. Whereas you might go to other dealerships and learn about what is called sticker shock, where you get there, you think you're getting a great deal on a vehicle, only to find out there's extra add-ons to the price of that vehicle. Now you're paying more than you wanted to. Not the case right now at Love Chevrolet. In a time of high demand and low supply, Love Chevrolet continues to take care of their customers. So go visit them. I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. Right now, as always, the $1,000 low price guarantee continues to be out there, meaning you can shop other dealerships and take their deal back to the folks at Love Chevrolet, and they will top it or write you a check for $1,000. And then, of course, the customer service is what I brag about. The way they treat you from the second you come on the lot to the second you make that big purchase. They're not going to harass you. They're going to answer your questions. They're going to make sure you are comfortable with the purchase you are making. So go visit Love Chevrolet, I-26 in Harbison between Lowe's and Frankie's Fun Park. You can visit them on the web as well, lovechevy.com. Get out to Love Chevrolet and find new roads.
I thought I recognized the number.
Oh, okay. And maybe that's all. We have nothing.
Did he send us a note? I don't.
I haven't gone back and looked at text messages from yesterday. I did mean to go do that last night. The good news is you start seeing all those like red dots. You figure out where you can start looking at.
Oh yeah, I didn't read any of them.
After a 1-year slip, I promptly regained my spot atop the NASCAR Picks Weekly segment that we have last year. And just in case anybody forgot, the
I've potted you up, Carrie, so you can comment.
2021 season, Bill Gunner, 132 total points. Jennifer Jensen, 119. Carrie Tharp, 107. And Reggie Anderson, who Reggie really probably should come to my house and I should give him lessons on NASCAR each and every week. Well, you guys laugh. Like Reggie has finished in 2019. He finished third. In 2020, he was fourth, and it wasn't close. And last year, he at least managed to get to. He finished fourth again. Reggie is consistently at the bottom, just like I'm consistently at the top. So we'll start all over again in 2022. And Carrie Tharp, president, Darlington Raceway, glad to have you back, buddy. Hope you've been doing good.
I've been doing well, but man, to listen to you talk about, what happened in years past, what have you done for me lately? I mean, it's a brand new season.
It's a good question. I'll tell you.
you.
I'll tell you exactly what I did for you lately. I did not talk about this at all when we were hanging out the night before the bowl game.
Before the bowl game.
Yes.
He already forgot, Bill.
That's
He forgot.
Exactly right. That was a big night. I got to see Bill up there in Charlotte. They had a big Gamecock Club function before the Dukes Mayo Bowl, and I took time out from signing autographs. I was over in the corner signing autographs. And Bill came over and interrupted everybody. But no, it was good to see you that night, Bill. But great to be back on the program, and we must be getting closer and closer to the NASCAR season.
It's going to be a lot of fun and something that Jen is very excited about because NASCAR this year honoring her with a next gen car.
That's right. It's all about me.
Let's get into both of you breaking this down. There's a good article on autoweek.com. Mike Kimmery putting it out just this past week. It says why NASCAR's next gen won't likely level the playing field all that much. Get y'all's opinion on that, and what's your thoughts on this new car?
Well, I think the new car is going to be a game changer for NASCAR. They've been working on this car, Bill, for about 3 years, and it was supposed to have debuted last year, 221. But when the pandemic came in mid 220, they delayed it a year, and I think that was a good idea. They've tested this car about 12 times. We had a test at Darlington last April with the car with Tyler Reddick, and I think, long story short, I think this car is. I think it's going to help create better racing. That's a lower downforce package. The cars look more like the cars we see on the street. I mean, the Mustang looks like a really cool Mustang. The Camaro looks like a really cool Camaro, and the Camry looks like a really cool Camry. So it's I think going to be pleasing to the eye. I think the car has a little bit different noise to it, sound to it than we've heard in the past, and it's a little bit more throaty. I think when you hear it going around the track. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. I know NASCAR is very, very excited about it, and it's going to debut this weekend in Los Angeles.
I know Adam Stevens had made had been quoted as saying something about, it used to be like man versus machine, but this new package is kind of making it where it's not so much machine, it's more man. Like the driver and strategies are going to kind of be more important than just the engineering parts. Does that sound consistent with kind of what they're seeing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the car is going to be. I think it's going to open up the window of opportunity maybe for some other manufacturers to get in because of all the technology that this car is going to bring. And at the beginning, you're not going to see as much of it for the fans as you will as the season progresses. But, you're going to be able to sit up in the stands with your scanners and your mobile apps and be able to, really dig in and almost like see what the driver sees as he or her drives around the racetrack. So there's a lot more technology behind it. The cars look, I'll be honest with you, the cars look cooler. And, let's hope that they put on as a good racing, because I thought the racing last year was really good. And I think the folks that have been involved in this project think that this could even make it better.
He is Kerry Tharp. He will join us each and every week as he has the last several years to give us the rundown on the weekend's NASCAR race as well as make some picks. You can follow him on Twitter if you aren't already. At Kerry_Tharp is the way to do that. He is, of course, the president of Darlington Raceway. And as we make our picks this year, obviously, it's no secret. I tend to hone in about 3 or 4 drivers and go with them each and every week. But let me ask both of you this. 3 organizations last year. 3 organizations won 31 of the 36 races. Hendricks Motorsports leading the way with 17, Joe Gibbs racing with 9, and Team Penske with 5. Does this car open the field, as Larry asks on our live stream? Does it open the field to a few other racing teams?
I think it does.
I think it does. Now, does that mean we're going to see a different winner every single weekend? No, probably not. But I think it does open it up a little bit. And Jen, I'm not sure if you agree or not, but I think you're going to see somebody from over at RCR win this year. I think you may see one of these new race teams, that's been introduced in the off season, get a win. I think that certainly the schedule that NASCAR's put together for 2022, once again, I think offers a wide variety of racing opportunities, road courses, dirt race at Bristol. It's just, I think the schedule, I think, almost lends itself to seeing some different winners. So, the cream's still going to rise to the top. Kyle Larson is still going to be a guy that's going to be very difficult to beat. Chase Elliott, everybody over at Hendrick, Joe Gibbs Racing. But, I think it is going to open up the window of opportunity a little bit, maybe for some of these new race teams.
Well, and you have, what is it, Floyd Mayweather? He's entering a car for the Daytona 500. Yeah, so you're seeing a little bit more of that.
It'll
Yeah, you are. You're getting a lot more diverse ownership and entry into the sport. I think Dana White has got a sponsorship of a car, I think, out at the Busch Clash. You just think that 5 years ago you would have never seen any of this going on at NASCAR. So I think NASCAR has really opened up its windows of opportunity for not only ownership but maybe some other drivers to get some wins.
It'll be a lot of fun this weekend. It will be the Busch Clash at the Coliseum. If you haven't seen, there's a great video on NASCAR.com of how they transformed the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum into a NASCAR track this weekend. We look forward to watching that, Kerry, and I'm sure you'll be paying close attention because you're looking to take that top spot back after I just wrestled it away from you. Gave you the old elbow to the head and took it away last year.
Well, you really did. You stiff-armed me all the way to the end zone. But, I got to hand it to you. You did a nice job last year. So Jen and I have spoken numerous occasions during the off season. And, we've got some things up our sleeve that hopefully we can combat with some of your picks. We'll just wait and see and look forward to starting it up, I guess, with the Daytona 500.
Look forward to it. Thank you for listening to the early game. We will catch you all tomorrow morning.
Yeah. Good timing. Well, it's good that I have the clock right here now, so I know exactly how much time's left. All right, everybody. Time to make way for Pearson. We'll see you all tomorrow.